Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. Who am I? I am John Campea. I will be your host today, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, joining us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, a little bit of television, entertainment, all sorts of good stuff. And joining me here today, of course, is the one and the only, the magnificent, the triumphant even, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
John, I am doing well. It's a great day today, comrades.
It is a great... Oh, and I did see Chernobyl's final episode.
Oh, dude.
We got to talk about that in a second, a little bit as well. Also joining us back again is, of course, Ashley Whelan. Ashley, welcome back again.
Thank you. I am here.
Maybe
here
if I brought up your camera. There we go. You're here for the week now. You know what? Seriously, I know a lot... Ever since I moved to L.A., I've known a lot of people trying to be actors.
No.
Yes. It's hard to imagine, but it's true. I think it's safe to say, in the short time that I've known you, you've probably gotten more acting gigs than almost all of my friends who are actors.
Well, that's good to know, because you never know how good or bad you're doing, and you always feel like you're doing awful. So
that's a pretty good thing to get kicked into. Okay, guys, listen, we got a few things we're going to talk about here off the top before we get into our main topics. And the first thing we're going to talk about here is this. One of the things that's been having everybody asking what the hell is going on is the movie Ad Astra. It was originally supposed to come out, I believe, late last year. Then it was supposed to come out of January this year. Then it was supposed to come out of May of this year. And then we got closer and closer. No trailers, no nothing. Then they finally, I believe they said they're going to open it in September. I think September is when they said they're going to open it. Well, the first trailer for Ad Astra finally dropped this morning. Now, what we've known about Ad Astra is that it's a movie about Brad Pitt's dad, played by Tommy Lee Jones, went on a one-way mission, I think to Neptune or something, to explore something in the galaxy, something about possible extraterrestrial life or whatever, went missing, they never heard from him again. And now it's years later, and that's all we knew. This trailer gave us a different kind of look at the film. Rob, I watched this. It's one of these trailers that I'm watching, and I thought to myself, I have no idea what the hell's going on, and I'm loving this. I don't even know what's going on, but I'm completely intrigued. That one shot in the trailer where they're like climbing the giant antenna that goes all the way up into space and whatnot, and then there's a mystery to it, sci-fi elements. Brad Pitt looks great. The cast looks wonderful. I'm telling you what, it's just a first trailer. I'm not going to get too terribly excited about it just yet, but as a first trailer, it won me over. What did you think about this Ad Astra trailer?
Dude. This trailer had everything, like it hit all my sweet spots. First of all, anything to do with space and astronauts, I'm in. Extraterrestrials, I'm in.
Me too.
The planet Neptune, anybody that's going to the planet Neptune, first of all, the greatest Neptune movie ever made is, of course, Event Horizon. Everybody knows that because they find the Event Horizon in orbit around Neptune, but they say they're going to Neptune in this movie. I'm like, this, if you made me specially chemically grown, I don't know, marijuana, some weed that was made for my brain receptors. That's what this movie is. This movie is like my weed. I can't wait to smoke it. I want to see this movie so bad. Bring it on right now. You got Brad Pitt. You got Tommy Lee Jones. You got crazy, weird something coming from, what do they call it? The Pulse?
Something like that.
Something like that. I'm like, come on, dude.
Donald Sutherland, I believe, was in there too, if I'm not mistaken.
This movie is so up my alley. Bring it on now.
Yeah, and you know what? Normally when we see these release dates being pushed continuously, it's a little bit of a cause for concern. But like last year, the director of the film had been coming out and saying, no, listen, I'm having a hard time getting this done in time because there's so many details. I want to make sure we get every detail right. I don't want to be pushed up against a release date. And they said that very, very early. And so they kept accommodating him and pushing it off. And now he's got to September, all the time in the world that he needs. And I'm looking forward to it. So the question here, guys, is did you have a chance to see this first trailer for Ad Astra? If so, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down, I want to talk about the second thing here just for a minute, okay? There's a movie that I don't always have time to get out to every movie that comes out. Sometimes there's a movie that comes out that doesn't look like it interests me. And I'll tell you what, Booksmart, the new film by Olivia Wilde, her first directorial effort, is a movie that looked cute, but you guys have heard me talk about it on the show. The trailers never blew me away. I never thought the trailers were all that good. I thought they were clever, but they never looked all that good. And then I start seeing all these reviews coming out for it. And it's got something stupid, like a 96, 97, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, something ridiculous like that. And then I had a bunch of you guys during our live chats writing in and saying, John, you got to get on Booksmart, go see Booksmart. So last night, Anne had a class. So I thought, you know what? I have some time. I'm going to walk over to AMC Burbank 16. I'm going to go. I've got some free time right now. I'm going to go finally watch Booksmart, see what everybody's talking about. I went to go watch it. It's my favorite movie of the year. It's the best movie of the year. I was considering that this was a trailer that stirred very little interest in me. The fact that on its surface, it looks like, oh, so it's Superbad with girls, right? I mean, that's what it looked like to me. It looked like it's Superbad with girls. Okay, I guess if that's what you want to go for, good for you. I'm telling you what, this movie is so beyond that. It is smart and clever. Like, it's wrapped in this package of a teen high school, dirty, edgy comedy. It's wrapped in that wrapper, but underneath the wrapper is incredible charm, incredible emotion. I buy the relationship between the two leads. Like, right from the first scene of the movie, you're invested in this relationship between these two girls. You cannot help but cheer for these two girls, not just for them individually, but them as a pair of friends. They touch some heavy issues. And I'll tell you what, this is the first high school movie that I've watched. I really felt like that looks more like my high school experience than any other of these high school movies I've ever seen. Because I always feel they play up the stereotypes, and understandably so. We do that in movies for effect. I get it. But I watched this movie with the high school scenes and all that kind of stuff. I thought, this just felt more real to me. And because the setting felt more real to me, the characters became more relatable. I was laughing my guts out the whole time. I had these two women sitting beside me that I thought were going to fall out of their chairs. Like, I'm dead serious. I thought they were going to fall out of their chairs. They were laughing so hard. It is incredibly filthy. I mean, make no mistake about it. It's filthy, but it's smart. It's charming. It's witty. You feel good watching it. You think a little bit. I'm running out of words to talk about such a simple little concept. Such a simple little concept. And I walked out of that movie thinking, I haven't come out of a movie this pleased all year. This is to me, this is the best movie of the year. I mean, look, it's not as fun as a John Wick or an Endgame. It's not a spectacle film. It's not a blockbuster. It's none of those things. But oh my God, I love this movie. And guys, believe the hype. Believe the hype on Booksmart. Because Rob, I know you were watching, you didn't think, like you were like me, you didn't think it looked all that great either, right? Like, it looked okay, but other than the fact that Olivia Wilde was directing, there wasn't a lot there to be interested in, right?
Well, I mean, it looked funny, but yes, like you, I thought it looked very, I would say, average, perhaps run of the mill.
A little pedestrian.
I really did like the two leads because for what's her name? She was in Lady Bird. She's a lead. She was Saoirse Ronan's friends.
Right.
She was her friend in Lady Bird.
I didn't remember her.
Beanie. Her name's Beanie. Beanie Feldstein.
Yeah, Feldstein.
I think she's incredibly talented. I think she's going to be, and she's one of the the leads. And so I always like to go see films that have great emerging acting talent, just because even if the movie isn't so good, I like just watching great actors. And she is, I think, a great performer. So I do want to see it. But hearing the response that people have had, it's so much more than what I believed it would be, and hearing you say that just bears that out. So, and I probably will go see it today. I think I'll go see it tonight.
I highly recommend. And by the way, look, don't let me oversight. It's not The Godfather, okay? It's not Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. But from a pure filmmaking point of view, this movie is all direction. Direction fabulous. And by the way, Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, is in this thing. And she owns every single moment she's on screen. Every moment Billie Lourd is on screen, you're cracking up and dying a little bit inside. She's amazing in this. I cannot wait to see more of her. Anyway, guys, Booksmart is incredible. Get out and go see it. It's a very, very good time. Frankly, I think it's better than Superbad. And it's a different, I get it. On the surface, it looks like Superbad. It's not. Once you get into the film, it's quite a different film. But I love going into movies that I don't have high expectations for and really enjoying myself. I love it when that happens. And I did not have high expectations for this, and I just loved it. Anyway. Okay, guys, listen, we've got a bunch of main topics we need to get to here today. How do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys submit them by going to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you get there, fill out the form with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on The John Campea Show. With that down, Ashley, what is our first main topic today?
All right, let's get started. The first one is from Husan A. Hello, fellow movie lovers like Robert. I'm really into James Bond. Read this post that showed an explosion on the set of the movie has injured a crew member, stopping production yet again. I'm not really one to believe in curses or anything, but yo, is this movie cursed? It's starting to feel like it.
I mean, I get why we were coming from, because like even before they started shooting this Bond film, it ran into so many pre-production problems, script issues. Then the director who was on board suddenly departs. All the discrepancy there. Then the start date gets pushed off. Then they finally do start shooting. James Bond himself, Daniel Craig, suffers an injury, has to go get like minor ankle surgery or something like that. And now an explosion. Now, the way the official Bond Twitter described it, and I won't read it ad nauseum here, but basically it's like, hey, during a controlled environment test of a special effect, there was a little bit of an explosion. We were testing explosions, though, and there was a minor injury involved. Well, okay, that's great. However, the local news there, The Sun, they wrote it a little bit differently, and they wrote it like this. The Sun reports that the crew was testing out a stunt involving a fireball in a laboratory when the accident occurred, which resulted part of the roof and numerous wall panels in the complex were taken out. The crew member was crushed, a body part. They're okay. They're going to be okay. Was crushed by part of the set as he stood on a ramp outside of the building. A source that spoke to the outlet described the event as utter chaos. Now, in the official thing that says there was a minor incident, blah, blah, minor injury. Here's the studio. The walls got blown out, and apparently one of the dudes was standing outside there and got hit by one of the pieces of the wall falling out and landing. And apparently they're going to be okay, which is great to hear. It's good to hear. But, you know, it's a sobering reminder that when you're making these movies, there's a lot of complex moving pieces and things can go wrong. I mean, this isn't, I look at this, I don't know why I look at this picture and I think of Chernobyl. I shouldn't. I've just got Chernobyl on the brain right now. Anyway, Rob, with all the pre-production problems, with all of the production problems, and now we're sitting here with studios blowing up and crew members getting hurt. Are you ready at this point to say that James Bond 25 is cursed?
No. No, and I want to point out, first of all, Neil Corbold, who's the special effects supervisor. And when I say special effects, I mean true special effects, not visual effects, but special effects, on-set explosions, things like
Practical effects.
Practical effects is one of the best in the business. He has decades of experience doing this. And I want to point out this was, in fact, a test. And sometimes things go awry. But the James Bond sets have traditionally been some of the most, well, the safest sets in Hollywood over the last 50-plus years. So, you know, while this is unfortunate, I think when they say it's utter chaos, it's not utter chaos. When they're doing these controlled environment tests, it's pretty locked down. I mean, they're pretty... they're all about safety. They, you know, sometimes, you know, you're dealing with explosions. It's not like you can make them do exactly what they want. But judging by the fact that a wall blew out, perhaps they used a little too much.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think it's cursed.
I like utter chaos, though. I mean, the phrase isn't bad because this is a still frame from a video. And as the camera panned around, I mean, it's emergency vehicles and people going all over the place. It did look like a little bit of chaos, and this looks like more than just a little minor mishap. Apparently, part of the roof was blown off as well.
Yeah.
But you know, it reminds me, Rob. This is what this reminds me of. It reminds me of the Game of Thrones Starbucks coffee cup thing, where our friend Kevin Rubio pointed out. He goes, the surprise isn't that a coffee cup got left on set. The surprise is it doesn't happen more often because there's so many people on a set, so many moving pieces, so many things going on that, and when you're talking about visual effects heavy films where there's a lot of practical effects, people doing wire work, tons of heavy machinery moving around, it is shocking to hear and seeing walls exploded out and people getting injured, yes. But I almost feel like it's the same thing. It's almost not a surprise. It's amazing that it doesn't happen more often. You're talking about the professionalism of these people who coordinate and look after this stuff with all the huge number of people on these sets, with the huge machinery and moving pieces, sometimes explosions and effects going off. I think it's a bit of a testimony to the industry as a whole that these sorts of things don't happen more often than they do, because if I was running that set, it would happen a lot. I'm the guy who accidentally put a cup of salt into a Kool-Aid pitcher that I was making instead of sugar. So imagine the chaos that I would cause on these sets. So anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that maybe there's a little bit of a curse going on with the James Bond set? Yes or no? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Of course, the bottom line here is the person who was injured is going to be okay. That's the most important thing here, of course. All right, let's move on to main topic number 2. What's our second main topic today?
Next up is from Clark Blatty. I saw on Twitter that they're now saying that the new Batman movie isn't going to be an origin story, but more like Batman early in his career. That's cool and all, but I still can't find anything that says when the movie takes place. Is it modern day? Is it set in the 90s or the 2000s? Without a date, we can't really tell if this is rebooted Batman or the same one in a different era. Have you guys heard anything more on this?
First of all, what he's talking about is that these new reports have come out that basically people in the studio are saying this isn't an origin story, which is key.
Thank God.
And that's important. Now, just so we're all on the same page, this is the direct quote, okay? This actually came from Slash Film. Rumors abounded that we were getting yet another origin story, but that's apparently not the case. In The Batman, Bruce Wayne / Batman is around 30 years old, but the story is neither another rehashing of his origin nor the tale of a seasoned crime fighter ruling Gotham City. He is Bruce Wayne still trying to find his footing on his way to becoming the genius detective. That's a quote coming from our friends over at Slash Film, of course. Rob, we have seen, even in Batman vs. Superman, we once again revisited the shooting of the Waynes in the dark alley and dying. We watched it again. Did we really need to see it again in this thing? And with Robert Pattinson not being a 25-year-old, he's a 33-year-old actor. I think it was kind of safe to assume that this wasn't going to be another origin story, right? Or do you think maybe they should? Look, should they say, this is a new Batman, we need to reestablish his motivations, reestablish his origin, we do need to show the origin again? Or do you think not doing the origin again was the right move?
I think not doing the origin is the right move. I could ask my grandmother if she was still alive, hey, how did Batman come to be? She'd be like, wow, young Bruce Wayne saw his parents killed. I mean, we don't need to see the Batman's origin again. It's wasting screen time. What we need to do is establish Batman in his milieu, show how the new Batman will be established in the first 5 minutes of the movie, depending on how he reacts, what kind of equipment he has, how he says, I'm Batman, I guess. We don't need to see his origin yet again. We're smart. We understand. The world knows where Batman came from. Jump into the story. Show us Robert Pattinson kicking some ass. I can't wait to see it. Bring it on.
Hearing them talking about it's not his origin, but he's not yet a seasoned Batman. It's a little reminiscent of Year One, right? Like when you think of Batman Year One, it's a little bit reminiscent of that. I don't know that this is a Year One movie. We know they were trying to get a Batman Year One movie made years ago, but that never came to fruition. But it sounds like it's going to have a little bit more of those influences. I'm with you on this. I think we know the origin story. It kind of reminds me of Edward Norton's Hulk, where they realized they didn't need to retell Hulk's origin story. So what did they do? In the opening credits, using just quick flashy images, they said, you remember Bruce Wayne, gamma experimentation, now he's the Hulk. Good, we've all know this? Great, now let's move on. And I think that worked incredibly well. Plus, we didn't need to tell Spider-Man's origin story again with the new Tom Holland Spider-Man. I don't think we need to do it again this early with the new Batman, so I'm all for it. And at some point, you might want to have Bruce having a heavy moment and reflecting back to something. You could work that in there, I suppose. But I'm with you on this, Rob. I think it's a good move to move forward, and we'll see where they go with this. What I don't want to see, though, I don't want to see an incompetent Batman.
No.
Like, I'm cool with him not being the seasoned, grizzled Batman, which I did love Ben Affleck's incarnation of that. It doesn't have to be that. Just make sure, if he's already been Batman for a while, and because Pattinson's 33, make sure he's Batman. Make sure he's Batman. And if they do that, then I'm okay with it. Question is, guys, what do you think about that? Do you think if they're doing a new Batman, you got to start at the origin story again? Or do you like the idea of just bypassing the origin story because we already all know it? Let's move on and get into the story. Let me know what you guys think. Jump down in the comment section below.
But also, John, do you think it's modern day? Is it set in the 90s or 2000s?
That's a great thing because that's one of the questions they asked in the thing there. Man, I've heard different rumors, right? Like we've seen rumors for a while, Rob, that this is going to be set in the 90s. But I've never seen anything that actually backs that up or confirms that. I've heard some other rumors saying this is a soft reboot of the Batman and it's taking place in the modern era. But I've seen nothing definitive that concretely backs that up either. I got two kind of different minds on this, Ashley, and I'm glad you brought this up. On the one hand, I really want them to do a soft reboot today. Just make it in this DCEU. Say, do what James Cameron's doing with the Terminators. Oh, Terminator 3, no, don't look behind the curtain. Never mind, look away. This is Batman. I mean, it's a little weird to do that, but I think we as the audience can get on board with it fairly quickly and move past it. Just like we did with Liev Schreiber being Sabretooth instead of Taylor Mane, who was in the original X-Men movie. I think we can move past it and we can be on board with it. My guess is that it's going to be a prequel. But I want it to be modern day. I don't know, Rob, which do you think they're going to end up doing?
It's hard to say, but I'm of a different mindset about this. I think, Batman should take place in Batman time. Because if you set it in our world, you've now saddled the Batman universe with all kinds of real world things that happen in his universe. Whereas I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go. Because if you watch Michael Keaton's Batman, which came out this week, they re-released it on 4K, a brand new remaster of the film. Nice. It takes place in Anton Furst's designed Gotham City. This is not our world. It's the world of Batman and Gotham City, and it's different.
So you're suggesting that they do this outside of the DCEU? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, they could, but you don't know. We know that Aquaman takes place after Justice League, but we don't necessarily know that it takes place in our world.
Well, they've always kind of proposed that the DCEU happens in our world, haven't they?
Right, sure. But our world, but slightly removed.
Sure.
The president of the United States isn't, say, Donald Trump. They always have a fictitious president. I mean, it's always weird when movies do that because it immediately dates them. I love the movie Contact. But when I watch it now, and I love Contact, when Bill Clinton shows up as the president, I'm like, oh, I wish it was more timeless so the president is played by an actor that we don't know. Like when Donald Moffat plays the president in Clear and Present Danger, the Jack Ryan movie. It's just a weird thing. It's a weird thing, a weird peccadillo that I have, perhaps. But like Wonder Woman 84, it's like, they better have Duran Duran in Wonder Woman 84. That's all I'm saying. And there's all these expectations. I want to see Patrick Nagel paintings, just like on the cover of Rio. That's kind of what I want, and I get too wrapped up in the fact that this is 1984. When I watch Stranger Things, they put in music. I'm like, that piece of music didn't come out now. It came out a year later, and you guys are wrong, and it pisses me off. The Millennium Falcon toy in Stranger Things, that's from the 1997 re-release. It's not the original Kenner Millennium Falcon that came out. I hate that. Anyway, I want it to take place in Batman time.
Got it. All right, guys. What do you guys think about that? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know what you think. All right, Ashley. Now, what is our next topic today?
Next up is Larry Mintz. With all the talk about Endgame and if it will or won't hit certain box office records, I feel like we've been ignoring that Spider-Man Far From Home is coming out soon. Did you see the new trailer that shows Peter using a bunch of Tony'd tech, making a new Spider-Man suit, using his iconic glasses, and showing us what they can do? I love this trailer, but do you worry they're starting to show us too much? Also, do you think they're hinting that Peter becomes the new Tony in the MCU? Thanks, and we love the show.
Well, thank you so much for that, Larry. And yeah, for those of you who have not caught it, there's a new Spider-Man Far From Home spot that is now online. And it's about I think it's about a minute, at any rate. And in it, you see Peter donning the the infamous Tony Stark glasses. But also we see him utilizing Tony Stark technology. He's working, of course, with Hap, which we saw in other trailers as well, so that's fine. But it's like he's using one of Tony's private jets going, make me a Spider-Man suit. And it's got like this 3D magic, again, Tony and his magic technology. His thing 3D manufacturing a Spider-Man suit just like that out of nowhere. And all that kind of stuff. And being in one of Tony's cars, wearing Tony's glasses, it was pretty funny watching him use the glasses to see what the text conversation between Ned and the girl beside him was, which I thought was really adorable and all that kind of stuff. You know, Rob, when they first put out the trailers for Far From Home, and even after we saw Endgame, I knew that the relationship between Tony and Peter would be an important thing to Peter. You know, we see him in the other trailer sitting on that rooftop looking up at the mural made of Iron Man on the wall. So we knew that was an important thing. But if you were to ask me, John, do you think he'll like kind of start moving into Tony's life a little bit? Like working with Tony's tech and doing all that kind of stuff? I would have said no, but it kind of looks like they're moving in that direction. As somebody who really doesn't like the Iron Spider crap, I'm not sure. I love the emotional tie between him and Tony. I don't know if I dig the idea of him just kind of becoming the next Tony, and I'm starting to feel like maybe that's the direction they're going in. Anyway, Rob, do you think these are just isolated scenes meant to be fun and funny, or do you think this is kind of an indicator that he is going to become the new Tony Stark? And regardless of which one it is, do you like the idea? What do you think?
I think the exact opposite, actually. I think that this movie is called Spider-Man Far From Home. I think that's literally about where the title is not just about him being in Europe. It's about where Spider-Man is as a hero and as a person. He's moved so far away from being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and that I think this whole movie is about defining. I think Peter Parker is going to be defining himself and defining what Spider-Man is, and that is he's from New York, you know, he's from Brooklyn or Queens or wherever the hell he's living now, and I think that he's a hero of the people. He's not somebody that should be fighting Infinity Wars. He'll fill in when it's required. But I thought that we see that clip of him making these costumes in this new TV spot, but then we see that plane blow up later. You know, we've seen the clip from Happy going, "Get on the jet," and then the jet explodes. I think this whole movie is about going to be recontextualizing Spider-Man and bringing him back to being more of the hero of the people, the man who fights for the people, the man on the street, his own neighborhood, and they're going to take him back to his roots. And I think that's what Far From Home really means, that the Spider-Man character has gone too far from home, and now we're going to bring him back down to earth.
I think that might be reading too much into it, but it's so smart, it just might be the accurate truth on that. And I think there have been other signs, to your point, I think there have been other signs that they're bringing back to that. For instance, the movie opens with him in the crappy, ridiculous, stupid Iron Spider suit, which I know a lot of you guys love. I know a lot of you guys love it.
I like it.
But as we get further into the movie, it looks like in the trailers, no, he gets back to what Spider-Man is. He ain't Iron Man Jr. He gets back into a more traditional Spider-Man outfit, which I love. And that might speak to your point, which I didn't even think about that, Rob. It might actually speak to your point a little bit, that maybe we're going to see him getting back to that, which would be an interesting way for them to go. Question here is, guys, what do you think about this new spot? I actually thought it was quite good, and I don't think it's starting to show too much. Not at all. These are just little glimpses they're giving us, and they're not giving away major plot points at all, so I think we're totally safe there. But what do you think about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, Ash, what is our next main topic today?
Next is Corey Cole. I'm as big of a fan of the Oscars as anyone, but did you read that the story in The Hollywood Reporter where a member of the Academy admitted that they'll never vote for an Avengers movie no matter what? What happened to being fair and objective? Should someone like this even be allowed to be a voting Academy member? Does something like this pretty much discredit the whole system? Thanks.
All right, so this has been going around social media, whatever, the last 24 hours or so. The funny thing is, this is actually something from February. This was actually something that came out in an article in the Hollywood Reporter that was really kind of about something else all the way back in February. Now, just so we're all on the same page, here's the literal thing that was said, okay? This is the actual quote that was made about that. And it's important that we read the actual quote so we're all on the same page here, okay? This is what, and a director, by the way, a film director who's part of the 519 member directors branch of the Academy, said this specifically. There is just no way on earth that I will ever vote for anything with the word Avengers in the title. Like a lot of other people in the Academy, I don't respect money grabs. That's what they wrote, okay? That's the literal thing that they wrote. Again, there's just no way on earth that I will ever vote for anything with the word Avengers in the title. Like a lot of people in the Academy, I don't respect money grabs. So that's what he literally said, okay? So it's important to keep that in mind. Now, before we get into the whole ins and outs of it, there's a couple things I want us to keep in mind here. One, this is the voice of one guy who is a part of a 519-member directors branch of the Academy, which is a part of a 7,000 voting member Academy. This is one guy out of 7,000. All right, let's just keep that into perspective here, because I'm going to tell you what. If we poll 7,000 people who watch this video, more than a couple of them are going to say something very similar to what that guy just said. It doesn't mean that everybody who watches the John Campea Show feels that way, nor should we paint with a brush that broad just because you find a couple of people that feel that way and express that. Nor should one guy who's a part of a 519-member branch of a 7,000-member board be constituted as reflecting or anywhere near accurately reflecting the feelings of everybody else in the Academy. Because again, you grab any random 7,000 people, you're going to find people that same opinion. And a lot stranger opinions, as a matter of fact. Also, keep in mind that what he just wrote was basically, look, there's actually nothing wrong with what he just said. Now, I know it feels like there is, but actually listen to what he's saying. The basic gist of what he's saying is he looks at these movies and he doesn't see quality. He sees money grabs and therefore he doesn't vote for them. That's his opinion of those movies. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Certainly doesn't mean I have to agree with it. But there's actually nothing wrong with somebody saying my opinion of those movies, I don't think there's artistic merit and I think they're just money grabs. That's how I see them. So I'm not going to vote for them. There's actually nothing wrong with that. It's not my opinion. It's not your opinion, but it's his opinion. One opinion amongst 7,000 other people. 7,000 other people who, by the way, whose opinions nominated Logan, a comic book movie, for one of the highest honors of the Academy Awards for Best Screenplay, and the same Academy that actually nominated a comic book movie last year, Black Panther, for Best Picture. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. That's important to know. Should somebody like this, who doesn't like the movies I like, be allowed to be a voting Academy member? Hell yes. Hell yes. This is the beautiful thing about movies, Rob, is that we are all vastly different people who come from vastly different walks of life, with vastly different backgrounds, tastes, experiences, expectations, whatever, and we're all going to have a million different opinions about the movies. And the great thing is that we all watch them, and some of us feel some way, some of us feel the other. I read what this guy said, and while shocking off the top, I honestly don't see anything technically wrong with what he said, but I know there are some other people that are reading what he said and feeling very upset by it. Rob, you see this and hear this. What's your first reaction response to this?
Guy's a douchebag. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because what he's showing is a prejudice against a genre.
I disagree.
I
disagree.
Because
you're putting
saying,
words in his mouth that he never said.
He said an Avengers movie is a cash grab
because he watches them and he feels that that's what it was.
But that is, look, let's just talk about another genre for a minute. Cops and robbers. They've been making cops and robbers movies since the dawn of cinema. On one hand, you can have Paul Blart Mall Cop. That's on one hand. On the other hand, you can have...
Don't you talk crap about Paul Blart.
Michael Mann's Heat, or Thief, or Sidney Lumet's Prince of the City, or something like Serpico. You can run the gamut of within the same genre of something that's lowbrow or something that is trying to hit on all cylinders and really make an incredible statement about the human condition. Although I would dare say there's maybe a little bit to say about the human condition in Paul Blart Mall Cop. The Avengers films
That's very open-minded of you.
But they're not shameless cash grabs.
In your opinion.
You have two... No, it's not even my opinion. These are two directors who are honing their craft, mustering the forces of literally thousands and thousands of people. They've got millions of moving parts and decisions, They are phenomenal examples of filmmaking. Now, you might not look, the prejudice, it's a shameless cash grab. What movie isn't a cash grab? Every single commercial Hollywood movie that
Absolutely.
is made is looking to make money.
Yes.
This is not show friends, it's show business. And for somebody to say a shameless cash grab, they spent $350 million on Endgame. It's the culmination of 22 movies. And I get angry because as a genre film fan, I have been listening to all of my favorite genres be thrown into some, ghetto, not shtetl. I was going to say shtetl, but some like the ghettos that the Jews had to live in that were in World War II. These genres that people throw them away as if they're worthless. Science fiction, horror, fantasy. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of listening, and this is just another example of that. It's like, look, man, Return of the King won Best Picture in all the Academy Awards it was nominated for. It was a phenomenal example of filmmaking. And I can't stand it when people just write off entire genres of cinema. It just, it makes me so angry. That guy just wants to have made a movie like Avengers Endgame. He wishes he could because his career is probably moribund. He wanted to make a movie about, I don't know, I'm not even going to say what just came into mind, but something that he would probably be a hipster on the indie circuit for making. You know what, dude? Too bad. Go Russo brothers. Go Kevin Feige. I love seeing Avengers Endgame make $2.5 billion. What have you done lately?
Okay.
Sorry.
Love it.
Here's the thing. Number one, you just got mad at something he never said. He never said anything about the comic book movie in general.
He did. He said he would never vote for an Avengers film. Never vote
Avengers is not the entire comic book genre. He never said, I will never vote for anything in the entire comic book genre.
I think he was using that as an example.
Then you're putting words in his mouth, because what he literally said, you're putting words in his mouth.
I'm going by what he said.
Here's what he said. This is literally what he said. Point me literally where he says the entire comic book genre. There's just no way on earth I will vote for anything with the word Avengers in the title. That's what he literally said. He literally said this franchise of films.
That's your literal meaning, but what is the figurative meaning? What
does
he really mean behind the statement?
When you get into this BS of what's his figurative meaning,
that's not BS.
You are putting words in his mouth that he did not say.
Allegory, metaphor.
Acknowledge that. You are putting words in his mouth that he didn't say.
No, because you're being legalistic. That's like saying the earth was created in 6 days.
No. You are
says
interpreting something he said, and you're putting your own spin of your interpretation on it. Now, could he have meant that? Absolutely. He absolutely could have, but you're taking your own interpretation of what he said, and you're putting it as a definitive on his sake. He said he doesn't like comic book genre movies, when in actuality, and Rob, you and I have both been victims of this, where people online said, Rob said this, and you're like, I did not say that. I said this. Well, that sort of me. You and I have both been victims of that online.
Right, but I think
he literally did not say that. So let me get to my point.
But then he follows up and says,
yes.
What is he says? A shameless cash grab.
Yeah.
How is any four of the Avengers movies a shameless cash grab?
That's his interpretation.
Movies are beautifully crafted.
That's his interpretation, his opinion, and he's entitled to it. I will say though, and I'm glad you got to it before I did, that what drives me crazy is whether it's Academy members, film fans, whoever, who point at a movie and say that's a cash grab. Because the first thing I want to do is sit them down and say, you do realize that every movie that gets made is a cash grab, right? Like you do understand to one degree or another, because as Rob, you so accurately put all the time, what do you say? It's not the friend business.
It's not show friends, it's show business.
It's a business. Of course, these movies get made. These studios invest these multi-millions of dollars to make money. You should not count as a strike against any particular movie because it has aspirations to make money. That's not a negative. That shouldn't be looked down upon. That's what every movie tries to do to one degree or another. So what he said there is ridiculous. All I'm saying is that if this guy, as an individual, somebody who watches movies, watches the Avengers movies, they strike him as having no artistic merit. I think they do. You think they do? A lot of us watching the show think they do.
I think objectively they have artistic merit.
Don't even get into that ridiculous argument with me again. There is no such thing as objectively. Anyway.
Don't believe that.
You're wrong. Show me the measurement. Anyway, if he looks at it that way, and to him as a film fan watching these movies, if to him, and I can disagree with him all I want, if to him they are devoid of enough artistic merit to constitute quality, and that just leaves it to him as seeing them as cash grabs, even though every film is a cash grab, then technically what he said, there's nothing wrong with it. He's an individual person expressing an individual opinion.
Look, there is nothing wrong with stating, but all opinions are not correct. You can't just say that.
But yours isn't either.
But I'm not. I don't have an opinion. I'm judging. We're judging his statement, the statement that he has made. I don't necessarily think that every single opinion that everybody spouts is correct. I think demonstrably, if you wanted to get into it, you could prove him wrong.
No, you can't.
You can.
No, you can't.
Because not everyone's opinion is worthy or valid or true.
Dude, look, we're not going to get into this whole thing again about art, something you cannot measure, therefore it's not quantifiable. He looked at a piece of art and he said, "I don't see the value in this art." That's his opinion. And he's entitled to it. And we can all disagree with him, but that is his opinion.
He's entitled to his opinion, but that doesn't mean
so then what's
he's
wrong with
right.
him expressing his opinion? And you saying that there is artistic merit, that doesn't mean you're right either, or that I'm right. We see it that way.
No, but I think
doesn't.
you could demonstrably prove that there is artistic
You
merit.
cannot prove anything. But the bottom line is, if you acknowledge that he's entitled to that opinion,
He is.
then what's wrong with expressing that opinion?
Well,
Nothing.
Anyone's entitled to an opinion, but it's the fact that he's a voting Academy member. That's like the bigger issue, that he actually has
Exactly.
a right to shoot down, and even though he's one of 7,000, he has a right to just shoot down. I mean, I know you're going to disagree, Rob, but I kind of interpret it the same. It sounds like it's coming across that he doesn't like any superhero movies in general, but maybe he just meant like, you know, I don't want to see Avengers movies. Like, I will never vote for a Saw movie in my entire life.
Right.
And that's fine, but also he shouldn't be thinking like that at all. I think if you're a voting Academy member, like, you should never ever be thinking, I will never vote on a movie like that, because you don't know what is going to come out in 5 years. So he should just zip it.
Yeah, and I think there's something to that. The problem I have with his comments, the two problems I have with the comment are, number one, the whole cash grab thing. We've been over that already. But even though I'm not going to put words in his mouth and say that he was talking about the entire comic genre, because that's not what he said, even if that's true, to say, okay, so what happens though if the next Avengers movie comes out and is really great, that would check off all the boxes that you would have, Mr. Voting Member of the Academy? Mm-hmm. Are you still then going to stomp your feet and dig in your heels and say, well, even though it does check off all my boxes, I'm still not going to vote for it? Like, because that is a problem. That does become a problem. You just
distilled the biggest problem, I think, in what he said, is that he has defined a prejudice for himself that he is not going to keep an open mind.
Right.
And I think that's the real danger, because we are in a constantly evolving and changing culture. And one of the things right now, we talk about the culture war and all this, and part of that is because people are set in their ways. They're not willing to, like, look at something objectively, maybe, and open their minds and say, oh, you know what? I never thought that I could possibly be moved by this kind of a film. And lo and behold, it moved me. But if you're not open to at least trying, you're never going to move forward. We're never going to grow. You're never going to evolve as a person.
And that's the thing. Like, let's take Booksmart for a second.
Perfect example.
It did not look good to me. I didn't think it was going to have whatever. But when you go to see it, you got to leave that baggage at the door. Go in and just look. I don't have high expectations for X-Men Dark Phoenix. We'll get to that in a second. But you go in, you leave your baggage at the door, just watch it and judge it on its own merits. And that's why I have the two problems with the statement. I don't have a problem that this guy's a voting Academy member. I don't have a problem that he doesn't like the Avengers movies. I don't have a problem with any of that. The cash grab thing is idiotic, but the other thing is, even if it's just talking about the Avengers movies specifically, to say, I am going to prejudge and just decide that now and forevermore, I'm not going to vote for it, regardless of how good they become in the future, even by my own standards.
Right.
Even if they become great by my own standards, I'm never going to vote for it. That's a place that, not just this Academy member, Rob, I think that's a place a lot of film fans put themselves in. They were seeing that with Robert Pattinson's cast as Batman. I'm not going to watch it. Why don't you give it a shot before saying whether we are or not going to watch it, right? And I think that's a prevalent thing amongst a lot of film fans, not just...
I couldn't agree more with you. And what you're just saying about Booksmart is a perfect example of why I love the movies. People with different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different sexualities, different gender identities, people from all walks of life gather into one room that they might not ever be in the same room with these people, but they'll gather into one room, the lights will come down, the curtains will open, and a movie unfurls. And for that 2 hours or 90 minutes, you've got all kinds of different people, and you get to show them a story, and it unifies everyone in the audience. And everybody has a different opinion or whatever. But what's great about the movies is once we're in that box together, all of us different kind of people get to experience the story on the big screen. And that's magical, man. How many people, what kind of events gather people in that way? I mean, even soccer games in England have people battering each other in the face if their team isn't winning. There's soccer hooligans. There's no movie hooligans. Everybody loves the movies.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, listen, jump down to the comments section below. What do you think about all this stuff? It's a huge topic. We could probably spend an entire hour on. We don't have time for that, though. But jump down to the comment section below and let us know what you think. All right. With that down, let's move on to the next topic. What is our next topic today?
Next topic up is from Nick Talks Flicks. Hey, John. So I'm writing this on Tuesday before Dark Phoenix embargo lifts, but I imagine it has been lifted by when the show starts. So my question is, what are your reactions to the reviews? Thanks.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, as of the start of this show, the X-Men Dark Phoenix reviews have come out, and it's sitting at 18%. And I talked to a few people that had gone to go see it, and the best reaction I heard was from a friend of mine I had lunch with the other day was, it's not horrible. That was the best reaction that I heard about it, which is really unfortunate because it's an X-Men film. I wanted to do well. I wanted to succeed, all that kind of stuff. Rob, we have been suspecting that the film was not going to be great. We're now seeing the first round of reviews coming out. They're certainly well below where they wanted them to be right now. How surprised are you to see the numbers coming in this low? And more than that, do you think people are going to give the movie a shot regardless?
I'm really disappointed. I mean, I as I've told you, the X-Men, what I think Star Trek is to television for me, the X-Men are for comics for me. And I love the X-Men so much. And I have a connection. I produced the special features for X-Men and X2 for DVD and Blu-ray. And I have a real connection to this franchise. I love this cast. I loved X-Men First Class. I love the cast. I loved all the actors that they've introduced. I love the actors they introduced in Apocalypse. And to see, once again, Simon Kinberg, the same writer who botched the Dark Phoenix story in X-Men The Last Stand or X-Men 3, revisited this story and you have all these comic book movies, the MCU that has come out in the interim, all these examples of how to do comic book movies properly. And even in your own franchise, you have Days of Future Past, you have X2, you have Logan. I mean, there's no excuse for squandering one of the great comic book stories in the entirety of the Marvel comic universe and not make it at least very good, if not great. And to see that it's a muddled mess, or at least people I watched Roth Cornett and Dan Murrell's review, and I just sat there and I wanted to cry.
Do you think people, regardless, are going to give this a shot? Do you think people are still going to go out and give this a shot?
You know what? I am. I'm going. I'm going to go see it for that reason. You know, even like I talk about my beloved Bond franchise. When I saw Spectre, I wanted to punch somebody out when it was over. I'm like, what? How do you deliver that ending? Bond is literally shooting in a helicopter with his Walther PP-8 on the Thames River, and the helicopter doesn't just go fly higher? I mean, I hate this. Why people sitting in an edit bay? I sit in an edit bay for years sometimes on movies and try and make them great. How do you make a movie like this with all the resources, all the cast, and the studio behind you? You could do whatever you wanted. And by the way, you're telling a story that is right there. You know, you don't need a storyboard. You've got the actual Chris Claremont penned issues of the Dark Phoenix saga. Just go there. Just do that. You didn't even do that.
One of the things I get a little bit concerned about is that I saw some people sending out tweets today saying you could just tell they didn't care about this movie, and
that's not true.
I haven't seen it yet because I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go see it opening night. I'm going to go see it tomorrow night. I've got my tickets for it. I'm a big X-Men fan. I want to see it. Hopefully, it's better than what we're hearing. But the one thing that always does drive me nuts is hearing phrase like that. Of course, they tried their best. You don't think Simon Kinberg the established producer, writer, all that kind of stuff, making his first directorial effort. You don't think he tried his damnedest? You don't think he put in every ounce of his effort to try to make as good of a movie as he can? Listen, a lot of film fans think making movies is easy. Making movies is easy, people think. Like, everybody can do it. No problem. It's easy. If you make a bad movie, what? Did you fall asleep? Did you drink too much the night before? It's incredibly difficult to make a good movie. And a lot of times, we've heard Christopher Nolan talk about the fact that, you shoot a movie and you're shooting it and you're on set and you got your script, but until you get in the edit bay and it really starts taking shape and coming together, you really don't know if it's turning out okay. You really don't know if it's working out. It's just one of those things. And what I reject is this notion that they didn't try, they didn't care. Of course they tried. Of course they cared. Whether or not they succeeded, that's another issue altogether. But sometimes the best put their best foot forward and it just doesn't work. And all you can do is brush yourself off and move on. Now, as far as X-Men goes in itself, all I can say is I'm going to see it. Now, a lot of what I heard too is like, look, it's not a complete disaster. I'm hearing even the people who didn't like the movie are saying it's not a complete, utter disaster. It's not the worst of the X-Men films, all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll go in and it'll hit me the right way and hopefully I'll get the same enjoyment out of it that I got out of X-Men 2 or whatever. But I got to admit, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. But like we were saying before, Rob, we go to the theater, we check our expectations at the door, and we just experience the movie and judge it on its own merits. And hopefully it works. Hopefully it works. But we haven't had a lot of things to be hopeful about regarding this thing. So I don't know. That brings us, guys, to today's question of the day that I have for you. Regardless of the fact that right now the reviews are not looking so good for X-Men Dark Phoenix, are you still planning on giving it a shot? Is this still something that interests you to go and see? Do me a favor, run over to my Twitter right there, simply at John Campea, and then you'll see the poll at the top. Are you still planning on giving X-Men Dark Phoenix a shot? Vote yes or no, and we'll revisit those answers in just a little bit. Okay, with that down, let's move on to our final main topic today. Ashley, what's our final main topic today?
Last one is from Fanimator. Hi, John. Quentin Tarantino's film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is projected to open with a $40 to $60 million opening weekend, the highest numbers for any Tarantino film. I think it can open at a $65 million. Do you expect the tracking numbers to be accurate? Can it open higher or lower?
It's always really funny when you think about Quentin Tarantino movies and just like how iconic he's become in this industry. His place in Hollywood history is set. I mean, he's already established his place in Hollywood history before he ever does his 10th film, whatever. It's done. But it's often surprising when you realize that other than one or two, none of them have ever actually been like really successful financially. You know what I mean? So Box Office Pro is putting out early tracking numbers for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They're projecting anywhere between 40 and 60. Technically speaking, you're right. 40 to 60 would constitute, as surprising as this sounds, as the biggest opening weekend for any Quentin Tarantino film. As a matter of fact, when we look at Quentin Tarantino's films, the biggest opening he's ever had was $38 million. That's the biggest opening he has ever had. It's just weird to think about one of the best filmmakers in the business, and people haven't been lining up to run out to see his films opening weekend. It's strange. Django Unchained, my favorite movie of Quentin Tarantino's. His second biggest opening at 30, and then Kill Bill Volume 2 is his third best opening at 25 million. So if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does indeed open up to that 40 to 60 range, it would be the biggest in Quentin Tarantino's entire career, which is amazing. Now the question becomes, will it open that big? Rob, I'm hearing a lot of good buzz, not just critically, but I'm feeling a lot of buzz from the film fan community. A lot of people seem to be very excited about this movie. And I'm thinking that 40 to 60 range is doable. I think this will be his biggest opening movie yet. What do you think about it?
I think so. Probably true. What I think people do long for in the movies is they do like to just sort of immerse themselves in characters. It's not just about spectacle. And I think we talk about comic book movies a lot and Star Wars films, but I think the movies that people really love are those movies with characters that they can really just sit back and enjoy, whether it's, the crime thrillers that we talked about, Scarface, Goodfellas, Casino, Heat. Those are movies about people interacting. whether you like romantic comedies like When Harry Met Sally, which I can always watch, or a coming-of-age film like Almost Famous, these are movies about people interacting. And I think, aside from the spectacle, I think we as movie fans really love those kinds of films. And Tarantino gives us indelible characters, gives us just people talking to each other. And we love those characters. We can't get enough of those characters. And if this is some rambling narrative about Hollywood 1969, which it's been portrayed as, I'm like, I'm in, man. I want to see this movie. I want to go. I want to descend into his world, and I just want to listen to people talk. And I can't wait.
He's got a movie that I'm not a big fan of, which was Death Proof. Not a big fan of Death Proof. I
Me
gotta
neither,
admit.
to be honest.
But I think, to your point, which I think you so accurately point out, I think the highlight of that movie was that diner scene where the girls
100%.
are all sitting around the table and the camera's just moving around as they're sitting there talking. Reservoir Dogs.
The opening. Spinning around everybody.
Yeah, a very similar scene to the one he did in there. That is kind of when Quentin Tarantino, in many ways, this is going to sound weird, but in many ways, I find Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino are very similar in that way, in that regardless of what other stuff they do, to me, the real strength of their movies is when it's just a couple of characters talking to each other. That's where they really shine, I think, and that's where it really stands out. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of that in this movie. He has this amazing ability to create these compelling characters that we get immediately attracted to on the screen, and then just filling their scenes with incredible dialogue.
Yeah.
And even if that's all he does, this is a winner, but it's beautiful. You got two huge stars in it. I think all the stars are aligned right now for him to have his biggest opening weekend, and I hope he gets it. And I hope I like the movie as much as a lot of other people
Me too.
are saying. What do you guys think? Do you think this could be Quentin Tarantino's biggest opening movie ever? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that'll do it for all of our main topics today. We're going to go over and take stuff from you guys in the live chat board. You guys have been firing a whole bunch of stuff over there, but before we get to that, there are a bunch of other things going on in the world of entertainment that we need to get around to, but that we don't necessarily have time to make main topics. So Fact Checker Jonathan proudly presents to you right now today's installment of the Movie News Feed. Check it out.
First up, after getting to know all of Andy's toys in the first two Toy Story movies, Woody, Buzz, and the gang joined the collection of toys already owned by young Bonnie in the third film. Now, with Toy Story 4, we'll be meeting even more characters. From Cinema Blend, it seems that with so many characters, the fourth film won't be able to find a place for everybody who appeared in the previous films, as the production team behind Toy Story 4 has revealed that Michael Keaton's Ken doll won't be appearing. While Barbie is a character who appears in earlier Toy Story films, we don't meet Ken until the crew finds themselves at the Sunnyside daycare in the third movie. While the rest of Andy's toys go on to live with Bonnie, Barbie stays behind with Ken where they live in apparent happiness. Toy Story 4 hits theaters June 21st. Next up, Ashton Kutcher has announced on Twitter that Netflix's multicam comedy The Ranch will be coming to an end after season 4. From comingsoon.net, the fourth and final season will consist of 20 episodes, with 10 episodes streaming later this year, and the final 10 episodes set to launch in 2020. Set in the present day on a Colorado ranch, The Ranch stars Kutcher as Colt, a failed semi-pro football player who returns home to run the family ranching business with his father Bo, played by Sam Elliott, whom he hasn't seen in 15 years. Next up, fans of Frank Herbert's seminal 1965 sci-fi novel have reason to be nervous about Denis Villeneuve's upcoming adaptation of Dune. The last feature adaptation of the story resulted in one of the most infamous big-budget disasters put to the big screen. From Slash Film, according to Villeneuve's frequent collaborator David Dasmalkian, who reunites with the French-Canadian director for a third time after Prisoners and Blade Runner 2049, Dune fans can expect an incredibly faithful adaptation of the novel. The actor said the following: "I can't really discuss much about the script or the plot itself, but I can tell you that the old phrase 'true to the spirit' or 'honoring the spirit of' applies. Quite honestly, I haven't even seen the most recent version of the script, but in the way Denis has talked about the film and what I've seen, it's absolutely true and in honor of everything that Frank put into the novel." Dune hits theaters on November 20th, 2020. Next up, another classic sitcom is looking to make a return to the small screen, as it has been reported that UCP is developing a sequel to Punky Brewster, the 1984 series which followed a young girl growing up with a foster father. From JoeBlow.com, Soleil Moon Frye, who played the character in the original series and who I went to elementary school with in Burbank, true story, is set to reprise her role for the sequel. Punky Brewster originally aired for 4 seasons. Should the new Punky Brewster series take off, it would join the ranks of Boy Meets World, Full House, Will and Grace, Murphy Brown, and Roseanne. Next up, New Regency has acquired the film rights to the adaptation of Richard Brautigan's Gothic Western novel, The Hawkline Monster. From Deadline, director and editor Hal Ashby of Harold and Maude fame first acquired The Hawkline Monster in 1975, a year after the book was published, and attempted to adapt it into a film. Various stars were attached, including Jack Nicholson, Dustin Hoffman, as well as Jeff and Beau Bridges. Following the death of Brautigan in 1984 and then Ashby in 1988, Tim Burton fell in line to develop the project for Nicholson and Clint Eastwood. The Hawkline Monster tells the story of two unlikely hero gunslingers hired by a 15-year-old girl named Magic Child to kill the monster that lives in the caves under the basement of one Miss Hawkline's house. And finally, Woody Allen is returning to Spain this summer as production gears up for the director's 51st film. From Variety, according to production studio MediaPro, the Untitled film, which was first announced in February, will be a comedy romance, following a married American couple who attend the San Sebastian Film Festival only to fall in love with different people. Previously, MediaPro Studios worked alongside Allen for the films Vicky Cristina Barcelona and Midnight in Paris, which garnered strong reviews and several Oscar nominations. Also joining Allen on the project is Christoph Waltz. Filming is set to begin July 10th in Spain. And that will do it for today's installment of the Movie News Feed.
And now you are all caught up to date on all the stuff going on in the world of entertainment. Thank you to Fact Checker Jonathan for that. All right, guys, it's time for the show for us to go over to your live questions. You guys have been firing in a whole ton, so let's jump over there right now. Ashley, what is first up in the live questions?
First one is from Danny Romini. Billy Lord stole the friggin' show in Booksmart.
Oh my God, yes, she did. I mean, I don't know that she stole the show, but every time she's on screen, she just completely owned the screen. One of the best things, Danny, about Booksmart, she was fabulous in it. All right, what's next?
Cameron Ross, hey John and crew, do you think a Captain Planet story could work in today's time, and would it be better as a cartoon remake or a movie?
I'm going to say no. I know there was talk about it, there were whispers about it. There was even, wasn't there a Don Cheadle SNL sketch about
there was
once or something like that?
I think we need Captain Planet now. I just don't know if it would work.
It would be timely. But I'm in agreement. I can't see any studio actually thinking it would work. So, nah. An animated revival, maybe. But I can't see any studio putting big money behind something like that to make a movie because they got to make money, and I don't think it would. All right, what's next?
Amir B. For God's sake, Boris, you're the one that mattered most. They heard me, but they listened to you. The last episode of Chernobyl had more memorable dialogues than anything I've seen this year.
Oh my God.
I put on Twitter after I watched Rob the final episode of Chernobyl yesterday. I put it on Twitter saying I'm running out of words to describe how great this show is. But that thing, my God, Boris, you mattered the most. It was like, I don't want to give away the context of it, just in case some of you haven't seen it yet. But holy crap, Rob! I mean, you were right. That last episode was so freaking good.
It's the whole show. I mean, I'm stunned by. It's only 5 episodes long. By the way, I implore everybody to listen to the Chernobyl podcast. They've done 5 podcasts for each episode. It is some of the finest television I have ever seen. And look, a lot of people talk about. Look, it might not be for you. I please watch this because it's so masterfully made, so beautifully written. Craig Mazin just knocked it out of the park. And what I want to know is, I want to know how Craig got it made. You know, he's the executive producer. He wrote all the episodes. How did he convince? I can't even imagine walking into HBO and going, "I've got an idea for a show. We're gonna do a show about the horrific Chernobyl disaster, and it's gonna be one of the most depressing things ever." That actually turns out to be, I hate to say it, kind of an uplifting buddy cop or buddy friend story. I mean, it's the story of 2 men that are heroes.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, love it, guys. If you haven't checked out Chernobyl yet, check it out. All right, what's next?
Rob M. Burnett is Roger Wardell. Rob, not cool to leak what Bob Iger told you.
I keep telling him that. I keep telling him that. He won't listen to me, though. Rob,
I'll
tell you, Bob's going to stop taking you out to lunches.
I need affirmation. The only way that I can really feel fulfilled is by leaking stuff I know from our lunches on Sundays.
All right, what's next?
And with all the various conversations you've had with people, what has been the craziest movie someone has said is the greatest of all time?
I know somebody, there's a buddy I have that I know that literally thinks Howard the Duck is like the greatest motion picture of all time. Ooh. That to me is the craziest one. That's to me. Do you got one off the top of your head that you can think of? Somebody just thought something was crazy?
No.
Does that top it?
Yeah.
All right, that one tops it. All right, what's next?
Ben Rayner, I watched Top Gun for the first time last night, and I got to see it in the theater. What a fun and solid movie. Total 80s movie. Can't wait for number 2.
I saw Top Gun again a couple years ago. it's still amazing to me that movie came out in the 80s. I mean, it's nuts. And they used like practical, like they did a mixture of some practical effects with actual jets and fighters and all this kind of stuff. It's a fun movie. It is one of Tom Cruise's best. And I'm a little skeptical, I'll be honest, but also very curious about Top Gun 2. Do you got a lot of hope for it, Rob?
Dude, I want to take that highway to the danger zone one more time. Bring it on.
Need for speed. All right, what's next?
I just love all like the different positions they put. Like he's sitting in a towel, like facing, the camera. You remember that scene in the locker room? I'm like, what is that? It's so good. Suthius, hey guys, we don't hear Mr. C talk about Assassin's Creed every day, but we do hear Mr. B talk about Discovery every day. A lot. LOL. Just pulling your chain, Mr. B.
What's Discovery?
Yeah,
What is it?
that? What's that? I wonder. All right, what's next?
DC Patience, loved Keanu in Always. The leads, assistant, etc. are so funny. It's a win. Is it a win for Netflix? How can we judge unless a movie is an Oscar contender?
Well, a movie doesn't have to be an Oscar contender to be a great movie. Look, there are 800 movies coming out this year. Only for the major categories, 10 movies get in the major categories. There's a lot more great movies than just that. So Always Be My Maybe, which is one of my favorite original Netflix movies ever. Not a lot that I've really enjoyed as far. A lot of Netflix series I like, but not very many Netflix original movies I've liked. It's not. Always Be My Maybe is not a great motion picture. It's a little bit of a Lifetime Network movie in some ways. It's cheesy in some ways, blah blah, but it's delightful. It's charming and you smile as you're watching. It's just an enjoyable movie. But something doesn't have to be an Oscar contender in order to be really appreciated. Right? Have you had a chance to watch Always Be My Maybe yet?
I have, and I thought it was delightful too.
Wasn't it cute?
I got to tell you, they've got to make a sequel about that dude's dad.
Oh, he's great.
The dad character, after overcoming, a horrible blow. Well, I don't say anything, but to maintain his happy attitude, and he could dance. I want to see a sequel just about that father.
And by the way, the end credit song is one of the best end credit songs I've heard since Into the West in Lord of the Rings. All right, what's next?
Suthius, Tony, I wanted Simon Kinberg to direct a huge big budget film for the first time. Steve, and how did that turn out?
I wanted to build a suit of armor around the world. And how'd that turn out? Yeah, again, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it tomorrow night. But, Rob, this just goes back to the thing I'm always talking about. Every director needs their first film. I just don't think they should do their first film as a big budget tentpole film. I just think you're asking for trouble doing that. I would have preferred them see cut their teeth like they're doing with not Simon Kinberg, that they're doing with Dave Filoni over at Lucasfilm, instead of just throwing him out there. So many Star Wars fans saying, let Dave Filoni direct a Star Wars movie. He's never directed anything live action before. So what are they doing? They're letting him cut his teeth on Mandalorian, something smaller. Now they're prepping him and grooming him direct feature films down the road. I just wish Simon had done the same thing. I just think it would have served him better had he cut his teeth on something smaller first. But I don't know, Rob, maybe you and me see this Thursday night and we both think it's the best X-Men movie ever made. We haven't seen it yet. So...
Look, I think having somebody directing a $150 million ensemble comic book movie that requires understanding of special effects and all of these things is probably not the best first film, no matter what you've done, producing-wise.
Or writing-wise.
It's just actually getting onto a set and trying to figure out how to block a scene with actors. It's not easy.
Mm-mm.
And he's learning that now. All right, what's next?
Must Talk Reviews. Apparently Disney and Ridley Scott are working together on more Alien films, according to my research. What do you guys think? I'm down for more.
I've heard none of that. What we do know from CinemaCon was that Alan Horn did state that under the Fox banner, they are looking to do more Aliens films. We know that. We've heard reports that Ridley Scott is writing more, but I've not heard anything concrete that says Disney or that Disney is going to go forward with Aliens films with Ridley Scott. I'm not saying they're not. I just haven't heard anything concrete that definitively says that. Have you, Rob?
No, but I'll tell you something. As disappointing as Alien Covenant was, I do want to see the third movie in the Prometheus trilogy where crazy android David comes back with his army of weird genetically engineered aliens and decimates the Earth. Show me that movie.
Yeah, with the box office returns that they had for...
Yeah, it didn't do well.
Bob's a businessman. I don't know if he's going to greenlight that.
Look, Bob's got a book coming out.
He does?
He's got a book coming out about what he learned in his 15 years running Disney. I proofread it, but it's coming out.
Of course.
And
it's
great. I can't wait to read the book. You can pre-order it on Amazon now.
All right, what's next?
Ben Burnside, hey guys, to add on from yesterday, I saw Robert Patrick on Conan O'Brien a couple years ago, and he redid the T-1000 Death Stare. It was amazing.
You know, somebody was asking me whether I prefer who was the better Terminator, Robert Patrick or Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I said, there's an argument to be made for Robert Patrick. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is irreplaceable in those movies for sure, but just that Terminator that Robert Patrick played and the way he played it, and I've been a fan of his career ever since, even when he took over on X-Files for a while. But he's great. And I didn't see that Conan thing, but I would want to look into it. Do you like his Terminator?
Dude, I have a quarter scale figure from Enter Bay of Robert Patrick's Terminator.
Nice.
I love Robert Patrick's Terminator. I love when he has that picture of John Connor, like the parents or the step parents, and he goes, good looking boy.
Good looking boy.
And he's thinking to himself,
creepy.
It's so creepy because he knows he's going to evicerate him when he sees him, and it's such a great performance.
All right, what's next?
Kian Shingler, hey John, did you get to watch This Is England? If so, what do you think?
I have not. I have not seen that. I believe that's a documentary. I think that's on Netflix. I haven't seen it. Rob, have you ever seen it?
I have not.
So no, I have not seen that one, Kian. All right, what's next?
Suthius, 2 eps of Good Omens so far, and I dig it. It's cocky and whimsical in its own way. I don't think the humor is for a lot of people, though. Works for me.
You know what? I'm hearing great things about it. Look, you got Michael Sheehan in there. Michael Shannon. No, Sheehan. Michael Sheehan.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sheen.
Sheen. Thank you, Michael Sheen. Who I'll watch anything
and
with
David
him.
Tennant.
I'll watch anything with Michael Sheen in it. Even Twilight, when he's the big bad vampire. I'll even watch him in Twilight, heavens. And I've been hearing from a lot of you guys that the show's actually quite good. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but because I don't watch a lot of TV, but that's one I do have on my list because I think it looks really great. Rob, have you had a chance to see it yet?
I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I love the book. Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman is such a wonderful book, and it captures the flavor. The closest thing I can say is it's kind of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I really like it. The approach it's pretty great.
All right, what's next?
Elijah Chatham, John Wick versus The Accountant Till Death. Who wins?
I love The Accountant. But the way the characters are written, John Wick wins the fight. I think John Wick just wins that fight. I might even prefer The Accountant over any of the John Wick movies. I'm one of the bigger Accountant fans, but I'd say John Wick wins the fight. Who wins the fight, Rob?
The Accountant, because John Wick would never get close enough to him. The Accountant would take him out from a mile away.
There's something to be said about
John
that as
Wick,
well.
close quarters, the Accountant's done.
The Accountant will pick him off from 2 miles out. It's a good point.
Never get close.
What's next?
Roll out the reels. The cabin from Godzilla 2 is the same cabin in Avengers Endgame. The cabin is located in Georgia, where both were filmed.
So that came up the other day because somebody asked, hey, that scene in Godzilla where, what's the name of the actor from Friday Night Lights? Livingston? No.
Coach Taylor?
Whatever his name is. Great actor. When they first come across, Kyle Chandler, not Livingston. Kyle Chandler. That it kind of looks like the same spot where Tony Singleton. And I said, that's exactly what I thought. I don't know if it is or not, but apparently Roll Out the Reels is saying it's the same place. Good piece of trivia.
By the way, Friday Night Lights is one of the greatest TV shows of all time.
I still never seen it.
I've never seen it.
So good.
All right, what's next?
I need to watch it. Jersey Kid. I have been an avid film fan since my mom brought me to see the original Karate Kid in theaters.
Nice.
I must have 25 boxes of notebooks I've written all my reason. Point is, thanks for providing community where film fans can have a voice and talk our favorite things, movies.
That is awesome stuff. First of all, I have a similar experience that you do. My first movie my mom ever took me to, Star Wars, I have no memory. It was my earliest childhood memory, and I have no memories for about 3 or 4 years after that, but I remember sitting down and watching Star Wars, and that kind of started a lifelong love affair between me and movies. I've just been in love with movies ever since. So for you to have that experience, and the fact that you keep notebooks, that's awesome, man. That's
By the way,
cool
he's got to put those up. I would love to read your reviews. I mean, even maybe if you have to edit them just a little bit, just still, don't change them. Let's see what you were thinking and put them up online. What a fascinating thing to have, those 25 notebooks.
That would be a great online blogging project.
Yeah.
Just once a day, post one thing that you did over the years. I think that would be a
How you were
fascinating
thinking
project.
back in the day.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, what's next?
DC Patients, Secret Life, Pets 2 looks meh. We'll wait to see it.
I really like the first Secret Life of Pets. I'm not hearing the greatest things about the second one, but because I like the first one, I'll check it out as well. But yeah, I'm not feeling a lot of excitement for it right now either. All right, what's next?
Kian Schingler, also, which of the following is the most sexy scene? Brad Pitt, one with Thelma. Oh, wait, Brad Pitt, Thelma and Louise, Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct, Patrick Swayze in Ghost, obviously as a neutral onlooker.
There's no contest here. It's the Basic Instinct.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just like one of the sexiest, most all-time iconic scenes ever.
I have a quarter scale figure of Sharon Stone that presides
Yes,
over
you
my
do.
editing computer that she looks down on me from the interrogation scene
course
all
she
day
does.
long.
Mildly creepy, but
just a little bit creepy. But yeah, Keen, I think it's those other ones are great, but that Sharon Stone scene is all-time iconic.
and the ghost scene though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
iconic. But it's more of in a loving way. It depends on
Well, except
sexy
the part,
would be Sharon.
Sharon Stone does plunge an ice pick into your face, so I don't know how iconic it gets, but it's pretty good for a while.
It's pretty good for a while. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Christopher Benson, thoughts on the 85 cult classic Return of the Living Dead? I absolutely adore this film, from the punk rock soundtrack to the movie poster itself.
That's a good question. Rob, what do you think?
Oh, it's classic. I mean, Dan O'Bannon, like you said, more brains. I mean, you can't. If you love zombie movies, Return of the Living Dead is right up there with Reanimator as the punk rock double feature. I know that Reanimator's not a punk rock movie, but in terms of the hells of pop and violence, the zombies, the characters, and the poster is one of the most iconic horror one-sheets ever made.
All right. What's next?
I'm upset. Over under 33%. Jeremy Irons is Alfred in New Batman.
I'll take way under.
Yeah.
Way under. I would look. There is precedent in the history of Batman films to have a continuous Alfred while the Batman
Michael
actors
Gow.
have changed. Yeah, there's precedent for it, and I'd be all for it. I love Jeremy Irons, but unfortunately, I think it's under. It's not impossible, but I think we're both going to say under. What's next?
DC Patients, Pattinson with a detective angle. Take my money now.
Look, I think everybody's been getting really excited ever since Reeves said he wanted to examine that whole world's greatest detective kind of approach, and putting Pattinson in there to do it, it has a lot of potential. It's not a guaranteed
Did
winner.
you say Battinson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah,
now?
we put up the poll the other day. See, are we going with Patman, Battinson, or
Battinson.
our
All right.
bats? And
All right.
Battinson is what everybody went for. So we're going with Battinson. All right, what's next?
All right.
Carlos Eskimo. Hi, John. Were you ever a guest on another podcast?
Yeah, I've been a guest on some podcasts before. I don't do it often because I don't have time, but I've been guests on other people's podcasts before. I don't really do it anymore, just because I don't have time to do it, unfortunately. I get asked a lot, and I don't want to be rude anyway. It's just that I just don't have time. So, but yep, I've done it before. All right, what's next?
Shaw. After seeing this movie, all I can say is Dark Phoenix stinks of a movie made by a studio that just didn't care anymore. Despite the Disney deal, you should always try to make the best movie possible.
Okay, Shaw, look, I'm going to tell you right now, brother. Put that away. They tried. Okay, whatever you think, whatever your opinion of the movie is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you thought it was the greatest movie of all time. It doesn't matter if you thought it was the worst movie of all time. These studios make these movies to make money. The better the movie, the more money you'll make. You can make a bad movie and still make money, but if you made it good, you would have made it even more. Simon Kinberg is his first time directing. You're damn right. He poured everything he had into this. Of course he wanted it to succeed. This is his first movie. He doesn't want to start a directorial career coming out there with a dud that people didn't like, regardless of whether it made money or not. So just put that away, Shaw. Of course they cared. Of course they wanted it to be good. Of course they wanted it to make money. But every film that gets made, they have that, and it's just hard. And sometimes it doesn't work. Even if this is the worst movie ever made, and I haven't seen it yet, it doesn't change the fact that I'm 100% guaranteed for sure that they tried their best. They tried their best. I don't know, Rob, do you see anything in this that you think that, they just didn't care, but they just made a $200 million movie with...
No, like you pointed out, nobody doesn't care. I mean, they're spending tens of millions, more than $100 million making this movie. Everybody's trying to... Certainly Simon Kinberg wanted to be known as a big budget tentpole film director. I mean, the actors certainly wanted to make the movie as good as they could make it. Everybody wanted it to be good. Unfortunately, I do think it might have suffered a little bit from the writing was on the wall, the Disney deal was done. this is a contractual
But they had made
obligation.
this movie. This movie was shot by the time the Disney deal. Remember, this movie has been done. The
Yes.
reshoots notwithstanding, this movie is like forever ago,
and
right?
look, nobody sets out to make a movie, and it's too hard. It's too hard to make movies.
They didn't care. They wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's too hard to make a good commercial.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard. You set up a camera and have an actor in front of that camera. Trying to make magic, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, you can try your best, and sometimes you knock it out of the park. Sometimes the park knocks it out of you. I mean, it's just the way it is. All right, what's next?
And it's also so rough if you're an actress and then you're hearing bad reviews about the movie that you're in. Even if you do a good job in the movie, but you're like, great, the movie that I'm spearheading sucks. That's just the worst feeling. And then you have to go and you promote it, even though you know it's not even a good movie. Ugh, it's just a disaster.
Angelina Jolie in Maleficent is
yeah.
a great example. She's great in it, but the movie's just bad. All right.
The CTB channel, I'm starting a petition to get that a-hole Da Vinci to paint some eyebrows on Mona Lisa. She doesn't deserve to not have eyebrows, damn it.
Well said, CTV. Yeah, so we've been joking a lot recently about these stupid fan petitions and stuff like that to make these things the way we want them to make. That's really funny. That made my day, CTV. Well done. All right, what's next?
Senor Eric, John, when I read your tweet about Booksmart, I got so happy. It's great to see someone feel the same way about Booksmart as I do.
And hey, listen, just because I like it doesn't mean you're going to like it. Anybody else watching this, all I can do is recommend it. You guys know I put off seeing it. I didn't think the trailers looked all that interesting or whatever. It's just wonderful little movie. It's such a simple premise, wonderfully told. Like Rob, it just reminds me, when you make good characters that the audience loves, good things can happen in your movie. I think that's a great example
It's the best thing in the world.
I can't wait for you to see it. I cannot wait for you to see it. I'm dying to hear your opinion of it.
I'll be smarter after I see.
Then again, I really thought you were going to love Shazam. Like, I watched Shazam, and when I thought about you, I thought, I think Rob's really going to like this, but it wasn't all that big with you. So maybe I'm wrong about this one.
Yeah, but Shazam didn't have any edge. You're saying that Booksmart does.
Oh, it tons of edge.
Yeah.
Yes, much edge. Much edge. All
Jay
right, what's
Bling,
next?
Django and Zorro would be an interesting contrast of personalities. Zorro being eccentric and noble, and Django being reserved and morally flexible. He's willing to kill his enemies in cold blood.
We talked on yesterday's show about this story. Now, I didn't even realize before that there is a sequel comic to Django Unchained that Quentin Tarantino actually wrote, and it's Django Zorro. So Django, out doing bounty hunting, comes across Zorro, and they kind of team up to free slaves. I mean, it sounds amazing, and everybody I've heard who's read the comic said it's really good. I haven't read it myself, but there's talk about a movie coming. I'm telling you what, Jay Bling, for the reasons you just expressed and more, I'm completely down for this. Like, Rob, I remember you saying you're down for this one too, right?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, bring back Antonio Banderas. Put them both in the movie. That'd be great.
Now, by the way, we don't know that it is happening.
Yeah.
But those are the whispers going around. I'm just saying I'd be down for it. If they do it, I'm totally down for it. All right, what's next?
Jersey Kid, if the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix is successful, could we see them do other one-off stories such as Flashpoint, Red Sun, or The Killing Joke?
Absolutely. Like, what I don't think is going to happen is you're not going to see a sequel. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is down for doing sequels or anything like that. But what I think is this is becoming a sandbox for, can you do Red Sun? Can you do Gaslight? Can you do these types of one-off what-if stories and make them as successful standalone movies? Yeah, I believe if Joker comes out and it's good and it makes like $400 or $500 million or more, I think you'll see DC take some shots at some of these other experimental what-if ones. Of course, the one I really want to see is a live-action The Dark Knight Returns, but who knows? Rob, do you have one off the top of your head that you'd really like to see them do if Joker works out well?
Well, I love The Killing Joke. I mean, they did that as the animated film, but it's
not good.
It's not good. You know, there was something called The Cult that Jim Starlin wrote. It's a Batman story, which I was kind of like, because I love cult movies.
Speak up.
So, that's what I would like to see, The Cult. Yes.
All right, what's next?
Krypton Caged. Hey, John, I have a theory. I think Matt Reeves has already finished his script, and that's why he has cast Rob. I think him and Warner Brothers are planning to benefit from the success of Tenet to work in favor of Pattinson's The Batman. Higher chances of success of the movie after Tenet. What do you think? Also, do you think the 3 bat emojis on Matt's Twitter announcement represents a trilogy?
No, that's way overreading into things. As far as he has not finished his script, no. I also believe, I don't care what stories go around up there. I completely believe Robert Pattinson has been tapped to be Batman months ago. I know all these stories are coming out now about they just last week did. I don't care what they say. I completely believe they decided he was their Batman months ago. As a matter of fact, they were even saying that Matt Reeves actually had kind of Robert Pattinson in mind as he was writing the script. So I believe that was done a long time ago. But no, I mentioned on the show last week that I totally believe they're looking to build momentum here. That they know they're going to have Robert Pattinson in Christopher Nolan's new film Tenet, and they believe that's going to be great and wonderful, and that's just going to build buzz and build momentum leading into Robert Pattinson being our Battinson. And I do believe there's some strategy in that, absolutely, and I think it makes total sense. Rob, what do you think about that?
I completely agree with you. And look, these are decisions that are not made in vacuums, nor are they made quickly. I'm sure that Battinson's it's so funny to say it. Battinson's tape, he had to be looked at by a lot of people. The studio had to sign off. It was not something that was done. Oh, we did it last week. We decided last week. And I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy. I'm sure they want it to be a trilogy. I bet he didn't sign for 3 movies. But like you said, John, I don't think it means anything that he necessarily had 3 emojis. I think he's just excited.
Yes.
You know?
All right, what's next?
Murray Reich saw Rocketman, and I thought it was really good. As soon as the movie started, I was hooked. Taron Egerton can sing so well. I like Elton's songs, so hearing it on screen was great. Overall, I left with a happy smile.
Yeah, I really liked Rocketman. I didn't think it was on the same level as Bohemian Rhapsody or things like that, but it was really more like Moulin Rouge than it was like Bohemian Rhapsody. It's very enjoyable. I had some issues with it and some problems with it, but Taron Egerton is fantastic in the film. His singing was wonderful. It was toe tapping, and you're right. You leave with a bit of a smile on your face, and it's like, wow, Elton John really was a dick. And I really respect the fact that Elton John was cool with them portraying that. I think that showed a lot of humility, which made me appreciate the film even more. So it's really solid. It's really good. Rob, you haven't had a chance to see it yet, though, right?
No, and that's, maybe I'll just go see Booksmart and Rocketman.
Nice double feature.
Both on the list.
Nice double feature. All right, what's next?
Noel Nguyen, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later, that debt is paid. Might be one of the best lines I've ever heard in TV or movies. If HBO did another miniseries of historical event, what would you choose?
First of all, Noel, thanks. That's a huge super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level. That line, as he's in the courtroom saying that, every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth, and eventually that debt needs to be paid. It was so profound and so amazing. I doubt that's the actual line that was spoken in the court, because I doubt the real transcripts exist, but whatever, I don't care. That was such a powerful moment in there. As far as what other, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Making a Chernobyl thing doesn't mean it was going to be good. You can tell a story about any event, and if you tell it right, it can be the best thing ever on TV. If you tell it wrong, it can be terrible. So I really don't care. I really don't care. One I will admit that I've been curious to see is one about the space shuttle. Was it the Challenger? Mm-hmm. Was the Challenger the first one to blow up? Mm-hmm. Is the Challenger one. There's also the second one that exploded was the one that exploded when it was coming on re-entry.
Yeah.
Because there was a problem when they took off, and they all just ignored the problem. And so those could be fascinating, but it doesn't mean they'd be good. It all depends on who's the storyteller you put in charge of it, how do they execute? Because Chernobyl could be a total boring, depressing thing, but told the way they told it was brilliant. Rob, do you happen to have one off the top of your head that you want to see?
Not necessarily. I've always wanted to see. We had a space station called Skylab that fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
But when it was first launched, they had real problems with it, and they thought they were going to lose it. And I've always wanted to see a movie. I actually pitched an idea when I was at Warner Brothers 10 years ago doing The Hills Run Red. I wanted to pitch a sequel to The Right Stuff, a direct-to-video sequel called The Right Stuff 2, The Saving of Skylab, or what we would call it. But because to me, it's always been a very a high point in the American space program.
I'm on board for that.
People forget about, or about the Apollo-Soyuz link-up in 1975. But those are uplifting. Those aren't necessarily disasters. What's so great about Chernobyl is it showed how great humanity can be in the face of terrible catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about it.
Great heroes in the midst
Real
of just,
heroes.
All right, what's next?
Smog ruler over under 20% anti-motor and anti-monitor in Crisis OIE alters the DCEU.
Zero, absolute zero. They're not crossing over the DCEU movie verse with the television verse Absolutely. Rob, have you heard anything?
No.
No, it's zero. Absolute zero. All right, what's next?
DC Patience waiting for Toy Story reviews. Not excited so far.
I am, just because of Toy Story. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right now, the trailers haven't been the greatest things in the world, but I'll tell you what else. I didn't like the trailers for WALL-E. I didn't think the trailers for Up looked at all interesting. These are some of the greatest movies ever made. So I am not going to be 1 ounce worried. I'm not the slightest bit concerned that I'm not blown away by the Toy Story. There's nothing, the Toy Story trailers are good, but there's nothing special about them. But that's kind of par for the course with a lot of the Pixar stuff. I'm not worried about it one little bit. Are you, Rob?
Nope. Never bet against Pixar. Look, I didn't think I'd like Coco.
Neither did I.
And it was one of those, I bought the
awesome.
disc. You know, I had the disc sitting in my collection. I hadn't even seen it. One day I put it on. From the first moments, I was entranced. I'm like, where was I? Sleeping on the job.
I remember the first thing I said coming out of Coco is like, look, I know about as much as authentic Mexican culture as Taco Bell knows about authentic Mexican cuisine, but I thought that felt very real. And it just felt, I love Coco
It was
so much.
good.
I could talk about that all day. I won't go down that rabbit trail. All right, what's next?
I'm upset. Worst Cuba Gooding Jr. film, in my opinion, Boat Trip or Norbit?
Boat Trip. Actually, somebody asked this exact same question the other day. Like, asked the exact same question. I gotta go Boat Trip. What about you?
Boat Trip's pretty bad.
It's pretty
But
bad.
Norbit is pretty bad, too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Boat
That's
Trip
a
for
tough
me, man.
choice.
Boat Trip for me. All right, what's next?
Murray Reich. On yesterday's show regarding Jurassic World 3, adding the Jurassic Park movie cast back, was that Will the talking dino from Jurassic Park number 3 who says, Alan, come back, LOL.
Oh, I remember something about that. I don't remember something about that from yesterday's show. I didn't know what the talking dinosaur, but apparently some people wrote to me and said it had something to do with the talking from the dream, a dream in Jurassic Park 3,
yeah.
which it's been so many years since I've seen Jurassic Park 3, so I don't even remember it at all, to be honest with you. All right, what's next?
Suthius. It's so good that I immediately watched Chernobyl again. Never done this with any other show or
Nice.
movie. Also, before Legasov took his life, he made sure his cat would be fed for a few days. He had 4 bowls of good lined up.
Probably meant food
Yes.
lined up. Yes, he did. So the cat could die a slow, painful death instead of just dying right away. Good on you. Good hero. I mean, no, listen, seriously. I remember yesterday I watched the final episode of Chernobyl, and I remember thinking almost the exact same thing as you, Suthius, about I should just go back to episode 1 and start watching this again. I mean, it's so good. I do plan on watching it again because Anne hasn't watched it yet and she wants to, and I want to watch it with her. So I'm going to watch it a second time through as well. It is one of those things that you can watch twice through. You can. I've hardly ever in my life watched seasons of television, even ones that I've loved, twice through. I've done it with Lucifer. And it's not my all-time favorite show, but I've done it with Lucifer. I've done it with 1 or 2 others, but I think I can do it with Chernobyl. Rob, do you think you'd ever sit down and watch that one through again?
Yes, because it's a master class in how to make great movies or television. I mean, it's so brilliantly directed, but the writing, Mason's writing, my God, and I always talk about verisimilitude. It's peak verisimilitude. The visual effects are seamless. It's just horrifying. I mean, my God. Oh,
All right, I'm
it's
starting
so
this
good.
tonight.
So good.
Oh, yeah, get on it, Ashley. You're going to love it.
I'm behind.
It's going to break your heart and lift you up and then break you down again. It's like, oh, so good. All right, what's next?
Noel Nguyen. Nguyen, excuse me. Over under 75% that Chernobyl wins 75% of its Emmy noms.
That's impossible to say at this point. I mean, look, there might be 8 other series that come out this year that destroy Chernobyl, for all we know. All I know is that if the Emmys were tomorrow, just hand them all to Chernobyl.
Yep.
If it was tomorrow, just hand them all to Chernobyl at this point.
I'm going to go over.
Yeah, it's just so hard to say this early.
But it's so good.
Oh, it is.
I tweeted. I said, just give Chernobyl all the Emmys.
Just give them the Emmys now. And if it was tomorrow, I'd agree. All right, what's next?
Lemuel James, if Thanos knew about Ego, the living planet's expansion plan, would he fight it or accept it?
That's actually a pretty good question. I don't know. Like, what do you think he would have done, Rob? I honestly don't know. It's a good question.
I think Thanos would have thought Ego was a dick. I think Thanos would have been like, you know what, dude? You're just trying to get you're trying to interfere in my master plan. And I think he would have taken a side trip, used the Infinity Gauntlet, and taken Ego out before he ever instigated his plan against anyone else.
Because, I mean, without a fully stocked Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos is no match for Ego. I mean, he's no match for him. I even wonder, even with the Infinity Gauntlet, I don't know. But it's an Lemuel, it's really rare that somebody asks a question I've never even considered before.
Yeah.
So good on you, man. That's a really good question. All right, what's next?
Ace Infinity. Hi, John, Rob, and Ash. I was an avid fan in the Schnepp, Ellis, and Harloff days at Collider. I stopped watching when you left, and I recently rediscovered your channel. You have become a huge part of my life. It is hard to send in super chats. It is 1 a.m. in Australia.
Wow.
Or Austria. But tonight I decided to bite the bullet and stay up late in support. Thank you for everything you do, and bring on the filthy.
Well, first of all, Ace, good on you for staying up that late, man. That's amazing. Secondly, thank you for coming along on the journey with us all this time. And thank you for supporting us on that level. Hey, look, it's just whether you're in this corner of the film fan community or that corner of the film fan community or the other room of the film fan community, it doesn't matter. The important part is you're a part of the film fan community. And the fact that you would not only enjoy our programming, which is awesome, but the fact that you want to support what you enjoy, thanks a lot, man. And the fact that you even stayed up that late when you probably got work tomorrow to do it means an awful lot. So, man, seriously, thank you. That's one of the nicest things I've heard today. Thanks a lot for that, man. All right, what's next?
Adam Douglas, the RBC Canadian Open starts tomorrow. This year, it's at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club. You ever been? Where is Ancaster in relation to Hamilton?
Yeah, Ancaster is now a part of what was Hamilton Wentworth. Ancaster is a part of Hamilton now, if I'm not mistaken. It is now a part of Hamilton. It used to be a separate city. I believe it's now a part. Ancaster is also where my favorite movie theater to ever go to, that I would always go back to for every new big movie that I was excited about, the Silver City in Ancaster. It's right connected. It's just west of Hamilton, really connected to it. So I'm going back in August, by the way. Just found out we're going to go back and visit Hamilton in August. It's the first time in 10 years that I'm going to be visiting home when it's not Christmas. So I'm really excited about that. So thanks for throwing that in, man. I appreciate that. Hey, listen, guys. We mentioned a little bit earlier in the show that my question of the day to you guys is, despite the X-Men reviews are coming out, are you still planning to go and check it out? I want to look at those results there, pardon me, in just a second. But we've hit 10:30, which means it's time for Rob and Ashley to check out here. So, Rob, again, excellently done, sir. Where can people find you online once you get out of watching Booksmart and what was the other one? Oh, Rocketman.
Rocketman.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at RMBurnett, or find me on my own YouTube page, The Burnett Work, and its adjacent website, theburnettwork.net.
And, of course, Ashley Whelan as well, who's going to check out Chernobyl tonight.
Yes.
Ashley, where can people follow you?
You guys can find me on my Instagram at Ashley Whelan, or my Twitter is AshAttack1.
All right, guys, thanks so much for being here. You two, we'll see you guys again tomorrow. And, guys, for now, let's jump over and take a look to see what you guys were saying on the question of the day today. And this is what you guys are saying in the question of the day. X-Men Dark Phoenix reviews aren't so good. Are you still going to give it a shot? And you guys, it's right down the middle. Almost 3,000 of you have voted, and it is 50-50 right now, guys. Split right down the middle. 50% of you are saying, yes, you are still going to see it and you're going to give it a shot. 50% of you guys are saying, no, you don't think you're going to give it a shot. That poll's going to stay up there, guys. If you guys want to express your views or opinions on that, jump on in there and do that now. Okay, with that down, let me set it up here so you guys can see me in the questions things here, because right now there's just a blank spot there. So let's bring me into it here. Boom, the magic of television, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's keep moving on here, guys, with your questions. Senior Eric writes, Shermanator is from American Pie. I'm a sophisticated sex robot sent back in time to change the future for one lucky lady. It's been a long time since I've seen the original American Pie. For those of you who don't know what Senior Eric's talking about, I believe that came up the other day, and I was like, I can't remember what Shermanator is. Thank you for following up, Senior Eric. I appreciate that. 20 Jackson Schaefer writes, let's start a petition for Rocketman. Hashtag not my Elton. Do you mean are you dissing on Taron Egerton as Elton John? I'm telling you what, man, he was great in it. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but he was awesome in it. Casinema Reviews writes, when's your video on fan entitlement coming out? I don't know. I really feel like I should. I kind of just let it go. Maybe I should do it at some point. I'm not really sure. Ace, we already did Ace's question. Sharon Carter sends in a really nice super chat. Thank you for that, Sharon. And Sharon writes, I was recently looking at the AFI hero and villain list and noticed Hans Gruber made the villain list at 46. It should be much higher. But John failed to make the hero list. John wasn't too heroic. Also, do you guys like lists that they have on there? I really do like the AFI list. I completely disagree with a lot of it, but I think the lists are great. Even if I would totally do things in different order. For instance, Hans Gruber should be much higher on that list. But look, just because whenever you have these all-time lists, if somebody doesn't make it, that doesn't mean you're saying they weren't heroic. Well, of course they were, but there have been a lot of heroes in Hollywood history. So just because they don't make that list does not mean they're dissing on or casting shade on any other particular hero. Quite frankly, I don't think I'd put John McClane. Even though I'd put, Die Hard quite up there on my all-time favorite action movies, I don't think that I would have John McClane on my all-time heroes list. He's a great character in the movie. I don't know that I would have had him in there either. So, but Hans Gruber, it'd be in my top 5. Like for me personally, Hans Gruber belongs in the top 5. He belongs to be in the conversation with Darth Vader and Hannibal Lecter and some of the others. I just think he's one of the great cinematic villains of all time. But even though I disagree, like I said, even though I disagree with a lot of this, the ordering and stuff that they put on the AFI lists, I gotta say I think the lists are great. And it's a great project. If you're a film fan, we've often talked about this. If you're looking for a good year-long project as a film fan, make your way through the AFI Top 100 Movies list. It's a great thing. It's a great exercise to do as a film fan. And I really encourage you to do that. Anyway, thanks for sharing that thought, Sharon. I really appreciate that. All right, Sujith writes, where'd he go? I rewatched The Dark Knight and noticed one of the snipers in the final building action scene looks like or is indeed Jason Statham. Did you catch it? Nope, never noticed that myself. I've never heard that Jason Statham's in it. Maybe it was Jason Statham. I've never heard of that. So no, I have never caught that. Just too tasty good. Do you dip / chew tobacco? Oh, hell no. Hell no. I don't smoke or anything like that either. I'm sort of straight edge in a way. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, things like that. But nope, never have. Well, I shouldn't say I never drink. Once every couple of months, I'll have like a Smirnoff Ice. Ooh, John, stop it, you hardcore beast. Once in a while. When I was in Vegas this past weekend, I had an amaretto sour. John, ease off, buddy, ease off. I know, I'm edgy. I know, I push the limits. I make society uncomfortable. But yeah, so basically I don't drink and I certainly don't smoke and I have certainly never dipped or chewed tobacco. No, I have not. T'Challa writes, hello, John. Have you, John, or Ashley seen Netflix's miniseries When They See Us? Ava DuVernay's really hit it out of the park. Very powerful work. Been talking about this actually for a couple of days now. I've not watched it yet. I had to finish off Chernobyl. I'm now done with Chernobyl. When They See Us is next up because the trailer, I've been in love with the idea of this thing. First of all, I love Ava DuVernay. Secondly, I've been in love with this trailer since I first saw it. So that is next up for me is When They See Us. I might even actually watch it today. If I get time today, I might actually watch it today because I've been dying to watch this one. Lezigo writes, Doom Patrol. Wow, love it. That episode in Jane's Head, was so, the underground scene, so good. The underground episode, was Frasier always this good? He's hilarious. On episode 10, what makes it so great and where's the merch? Are we talking about Doom Patrol merch? I don't know. What makes episode, I can't even remember which episodes, unless you named the episode, I don't know what number 10 was off the top of my head, to be honest. But anyway, Brendan Fraser is awesome in this. He is absolutely awesome in this. I love him in this show. He is probably my absolute favorite guy. He's my favorite character in the show. And I like all of them. I like Larry. I like Rita. I like them all. Jane is a great character, but Brendan Fraser just brings something to the show that I absolutely love, and I dig it completely. I'm glad you're on board with it, Lizigo. Right, Sujith writes, go ahead, Carol. Go to war. Matt Damon. Thank you, sir. Ford v Ferrari. Can't be more excited. I love Christian Bale and Matt Damon. I'm telling you what, I had heard about the movie, right? And it's like, ooh, Matt Damon, Christian Bale, directed by the guy who directed Logan? That sounds interesting. But then they showed us like 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of it at CinemaCon. And I'll tell you what, everybody was floored by it. Everybody was floored by it. And the trailer is great, but I wish they showed like the full 7 minutes that they showed us at CinemaCon, because I am drooling to see this movie now. It looks fantastic. Incredible director, incredible talent, great real life story. I cannot wait for this movie, man. I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat to see it. Willow Yang writes, looks like Hellboy got competition. Yikes. Oh, for like worst comic book movie, maybe the biggest flop in comic book movie history, maybe. They were already saying that X-Men Dark Phoenix wasn't going to do all that well at the box office this week, but with this type of word of mouth going around, maybe it'll be worse than we thought. I don't know. Look, I'm still going Thursday night, tomorrow night. I'm personally still going to hold out hope that it's enjoyable. I don't care what everybody else says. I mean, I listen to what they say. I'll weigh that in later, but I'm just going to go in clean. I'm going to leave the baggage at the door, watch the movie, and hopefully I like it as much as I like some other ones. Sujith writes, best Phoenix Saga adaptation, 1990s X-Men cartoon. I don't know. I mean, it was fun at the time. I don't know that they've ever done it really well. Obviously, the one in X-Men 3, it was kind of a side story. It wasn't even all that good. Let's see if this one's any good. But I do remember that one fondly. All right, Jeffrey Hawley writes, is anyone really surprised at the bad X-Men reviews? No, I don't think anybody's surprised, but you still hold out hope. We expect, look, both Rob and I heard from different people connected that the movie has turned out badly. We heard that a long time ago. We've been talking about that for months. But that doesn't mean you don't still hold out hope, right? Doesn't mean you don't hold out hope. And I'm going to hold on to that hope until I go into that theater and watch it for myself. So then we'll see. David Willard writes, John, wanted to know if you saw the email I sent about Daniel Day-Lewis and Gangs of New York, one of my top 5 movies. It's the movie that put Daniel Day-Lewis on the map for me and made me look at Leo as not just that Titanic guy. I don't remember seeing that email. I don't know when you sent it in. If you just sent it in the last 12 hours, and I wouldn't have seen it yet. And I do get like 100 to 200 emails a day, so be patient with me with that. But I'm trying to think of what was because remember, for a long time, for those of you who might be too young to remember this, Leonardo DiCaprio was kind of looked at by a lot of people the same way Robert Pattinson was looked at. A lot of people say, it's Robert Pattinson, oh, he's just that Twilight guy. A lot of people for a long time just looked at Leo DiCaprio. Oh, he's just that teenage magazine heartthrob cover boy. He's just the teen heartthrob. He's nothing serious to look at. And it took a while before people realized, oh crap, this guy's actually really good. Like Leo DiCaprio, this kid's really good. And it took them a while. I'm trying to remember what the film was for me that made me go, wow, Leo DiCaprio is like the real deal. It might have been Titanic, actually. Titanic might have been. I mean, I was late to the What's Eating Gilbert Grape party because I believe he might have gotten an Academy Award nomination for that. He's amazing in What's Eating Gilbert Grape as a much younger actor at the time. But yeah, for everybody's got their movie though, David. Everybody's got their movie. What was the movie for you that made you realize, oh, this Leonardo DiCaprio kid isn't just a teen heartthrob. He's actually really good. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to come around on Robert Pattinson on that as well. Because he's done 5, 6, 7 movies since Twilight that he has been amazing in. And it's going to be to see that. Daniel Day-Lewis, simply the greatest of all time. When you can act alongside Daniel Day-Lewis and hold your own, you're good. And he did that. Paul Dano did that as well in There Will Be Blood. Paul Dano that's the movie that means like, oh my God, this Paul Dano kid's amazing. And he's not going to get any attention for it because everybody's going to be talking about Daniel Day-Lewis, understandably so. But when you can act alongside Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest of all time, he's the GOAT, and hold your own, that's pretty good right there. Josh writes, favorite Matthew Modine movie? I'm not lying. Hold on a second. A lot of people hate, and I understand it. A lot of people hate that pirate movie he did, and I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I really liked it. Oh, I forgot that he was in Full Metal Jacket. Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I got to go Full Metal Jacket. Everybody hates that Pirates one he did. Now, obviously, he's in The Dark Knight Rises. We all know he's the cop guy in The Dark Knight Rises, but I don't really count that as a Matthew Modine film, per se. He has a small little role in that, and that's fine. He's really great in Stranger Things as well, but I think I might have to go Full Metal Jacket. I'm going to go Full Metal Jacket on that for now. Okay, what's next here? Alan Gonzalez writes, Schnepp predicted Tony's snap in the Avengers Infinity War review. Well, there were a lot of people who predicted that, but that was one of the... Schnepp also had a bunch of other predictions that contradicted that, but that was one of his predictions. It absolutely was. JB Bonifacio writes, as big an achievement as Endgame was for Marvel, Fox deserves equal levels of praise for somehow messing up X-Men's best story not once, but twice. Well, I mean, let's cut them let's cut them some slack here. Number one, JB, you haven't seen the movie yet. Neither have I. So let's hold out for that. Also, let's not forget that Fox has made some of these X-Men world films some of the best comic book movies of all time. X-Men 2, Logan, Deadpool, Deadpool 2, X-Men Days of Future Past. I mean, some of the greatest comic book movies ever came out of Fox. They just have. But yeah, we'll see. Again, it's hard for me to say much, JB, because I haven't seen the movie either. I'll see it Thursday, and then I'll have some more formed out ideas. Strictly Mediocre writes, you didn't because it's not there. I don't know what that's from. Sorry. Jacob Silvers writes, hey, John, I know you're not big. You probably mean big. I know you're not big on console gaming, but there's a new Avengers game in development. We're going to get a trailer at E3. Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm not a big fan of console gaming, but I got my PlayStation 4 Pro right here. I'm ready to go. As soon as they come out with an Avengers game, I'll give that a shot. You're damn right I will. So let's see if the trailer looks any good when E3 comes around. Keo Kid writes, hey, John, I'm new to the channel and you're awesome. Thank you so much. Do you think we'll get to see Deathstroke in the final season of Arrow? I certainly hope so. Because I'm telling you what, Manu Bennett, the actor who played Wilson, aka Deathstroke, was fabulous in the role. And he is the best character they've ever had in the Arrowverse. Aside from, Stephen Amell himself, he was the best character they've ever had. And I was so pissed off when they said, oh, can't use Deathstroke anymore because now we're going to have Deathstroke in the movies. It's like, you got Flash in the movies. What the hell? What's the point of having a separate movie and TV universe if you're not going to let them both exist in both? Why bother having them separate? All I'll say is I really hope they do. I haven't heard that they are, but I'm going to keep I know Manu loved playing the role. I've spoken to Manu Bennett about it. I know he loves playing the role. He would love to come back and play the character again. So I really hope they do. He's the best character they've ever had in the show outside of Arrow himself. It would be a shame, Keo. It would be a shame if they didn't do it. It would be a shame. All right, Jay Pinkston writes, 2019 NBA Finals, first since 2006 without Kobe or LeBron. Ooh, I didn't think of that. Because I know it's the first NBA Finals without LeBron for like 7 years. But then the previous ones without Kobe, that's I don't know if that's 100% true, but if it is, that's actually a wild stat, man. First one in 13 years without Kobe or LeBron in the finals. That's an interesting stat, dude. Daniel Quintana writes, this is the first time in a long time I get to catch you live. Nice, good to have you here, Daniel. Just wanted to say you and the crew are doing a great job. Been watching every video you put up since the AMC Closet days. You're great. Oh, thank you so much. Awesome. Listen, it's great when everybody sends in any question or topic. It's wonderful, but it's always really cool when somebody just wants to take the time to send in something just to say something nice. So Daniel, thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for supporting the channel. And thanks for being a part of the community ever since the AMC Closet days. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. All right. Rick Elder writes, in season 8 of Game of Thrones, Sophie Turner showed a lot of growth as an actor. She did, actually. Does Dark Phoenix critical failure destroy her chances at future major star roles? Not at all. If she's good in the role, then it really won't matter. Honestly, if she's good in the role, it really won't matter. Now, you don't want to put out a string of failure movies. And look, again, I haven't seen X-Men Days or Dark Phoenix yet. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe she's terrible in the movie. Maybe she's great in the movie. Who knows? Maybe the movie is a box office success. Maybe it's a flop. I mean, there's a lot of variables still at play here. But I'll say this. if Sophie Turner is good in the movie, and I didn't think she was great in X-Men Apocalypse, but you're right, she has grown a lot as an actress just in the last couple of years. If she's really good in the movie, then even if X-Men Dark Phoenix doesn't work out the way they wanted it to, it'll still be okay for them. It'll still be okay for her. So let's find out. Jamal Gaskin writes, "Go Raptors from Oakville, Ontario. Raps in 6. I'm still calling Raptors in 7. I used to live in Oakville, Ontario. As a matter of fact, I lived in a lot of places between Hamilton and Toronto. Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, Mississauga, Toronto, you name it, I lived in it. But I did live right in Oakville for a little while. I lived right on Burloak Drive. Burloak Drive is where I live. So if you live in Oakville, you totally know where that is." Jimmy Gilentine writes, "How badly does Godzilla hurt Godzilla versus Kong next year?" Well, not really. Doesn't hurt it that much. What it would have done, if they hadn't already shot Godzilla versus Kong, it would have killed the movie. They never would have made the movie. With these box office results and this critical response, if they hadn't already shot Godzilla versus Kong, the movie would have been killed. But it's already shot, it's already made, so I don't really think it's going to hurt it that much. We'll see, though. We'll see. Brandon, the Dirts guy, just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Brandon. So does David Scott Lane. A couple of them. Thank you very much, David Scott Lane. Dhruv Deshpande writes, "A trailer dropped for Kinnaman's new Apple show about an alternate ending to the space race. I love Ron D. Moore, but this didn't grab me. Thoughts?" I did see that. So it's this, Ronald D. Moore is the guy who did the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which is my all-time favorite TV show. Ronald D. Moore's Battlestar Galactica is my number one, by a mile, all-time favorite TV show. So he's got a new show coming out about what happens, what would history have looked like had the Russians won the race to the moon, and what happens after they win the race to the moon. Interesting concept. The trailer was terrible. It did nothing to make me interested in the show. Now, look, the show might be amazing, but that trailer they put out, Dhruv, I got to completely agree with you, did nothing for me. Did nothing to get my attention, to make me interested, to make me curious. None. It's a fascinating concept, but your trailer's got to be more than a concept if you want to get people talking, and that trailer just isn't going to get people talking. Amanda Zapolsky just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Amanda. Ryan Lohner writes, "Now that I know you're into poker, you might like to know Daniel Negreanu and Phil Ivey are on Masterclass." Oh, I know that. I know. I actually had a great chance to meet Daniel Negreanu last year. I was at the World Series of Poker, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. That's right. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and not a lot of people were around, but there was a final table going on for one of the side tournaments, and Daniel Negreanu was at the final table. They also call him Kid Poker. He's a good Canadian kid. I love Daniel Negreanu. And he's also my favorite poker player in the world. He's just the most fun guy to watch play poker. Anyway, so he's at the final table. And I tweet out, I get on Twitter and I take a picture of the table, like, I'm actually at the World Series of Poker, and I walk in and I get to watch Daniel Negreanu at a World Series of Poker final table. Amazing. 5 minutes later, you hear this voice yell out, "Is John Campea here?" And Daniel Negreanu, I guess, saw my tweet, and he gets up and he came over and met, and it was awesome. It was really, really great. I love Daniel Negreanu. Phil Ivey is amazing, but Daniel Negreanu is my all-time favorite poker player. All right, Bennett Hardy writes, "Why do you have 3 times your budget to be profitable?" Okay, just quickly, because on top of your production budget, you have to add marketing costs, which is huge. Avengers Endgame spent $200 million on marketing. Then whatever your money at the box office is, you actually subtract about 1/3 of that, because the theaters keep roughly 1/3, sometimes a little bit more. So to be safe, it's not an exact science. There's different situations, it's different sometimes. Just a basic rule of thumb now, to ensure your movie's profitable, coming about 3 times your budget. Your box office has to be roughly 3 times your budget to be profitable. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that. Sometimes it's a little bit more than that, depending on how much was actually spent on marketing. But that's just a basic little rule of thumb. Handsome Rob writes, "Have you seen the Anna trailer directed by Luc Besson?" Dude, I've been talking about this movie. I've been talking about it for several episodes. I know it looks like a complete John Wick ripoff, but I don't care. I think the trailer is awesome. I think it looks fun and exciting, and I cannot wait to watch this movie, man. Life's Good writes, dude, yes, Booksmart is also my favorite movie of the year. It's so good. I'm telling you what, I love it when I get to love a movie that I did not have very high expectations for. I didn't think the trailers looked great. I thought they looked okay, maybe a little cute. I was not prepared to love this movie as much as I did. It's incredibly hilarious, but it's got emotional hooks as well. It's incredibly charming. It's endearing. I just love the damn thing. I love this damn movie. I'm glad you did too. Life's Good. All right. Mark Newman writes, John, help. Chat is infected with spam this week. Yeah, I've been noticing. Now, fortunately, myself, fact checker Jonathan, Ray have been doing their best to try to keep the spam out, doing their best, but it's tough, man. I mean, I got to get a hold of my YouTube rep and say, what the hell is going on? They've got to come up with something to stop this, because we banned about 50 different accounts that were doing these massive like porn spams. And we'll keep working on it. We'll keep working on it until we come up with a solution. Lezigo writes, Ash, who's not here anymore, as the show's social media expert, what's your tips on Instagram beginners? Can't wait to see you on the big screen. Anything we can look forward to? Well, unfortunately, she's not here anymore. She stepped out at 10:30. I don't know if anything, like, she's been doing, like, all this week she's been doing different commercials. I don't think I should say what they are specifically, but big brand name stuff commercials that you would recognize if I said the names. I don't know. And I know she did, recently she did a smaller indie film as well. She's got one of those coming out. I don't know about her other stuff as well, but I'll let you know once I know. Suthius writes, Magneto settles down with a family in Apocalypse. Magneto seems to be living a quiet life with other mutants in Dark Phoenix. Leave the man alone. At some point, somebody's got to figure out, just leave Magneto alone. If Magneto decides, Suthius, hey, I'm just going to leave everybody else alone and you guys leave me alone, you know what? It might be a good idea at some point to just leave the man alone, because he's freaking Magneto. By the way, I'm a little bit biased because Magneto is my all-time favorite comic book character. All right. Anmal Bajpai writes, hey guys, thanks for giving me company. It's our pleasure. Thanks for coming along with us, Anmal. I am having a hard time recently, and this show and community brings some happiness. Dude, I'm always talking about that. It's one of the great things about the film fan community, is that when I am in a bad place, either a movie or hanging out in some movie community chat boards or discussions, whatever, it just gives me a different perspective, gives my mind a little bit of a break. It's really invaluable, and I love it. And I'm glad you're able to enjoy the benefits of that as well. And Mullen, here's hoping you get through whatever it is that you're going through right now, brother. All right. Where are we at? Another semi-professional. I like that name. Love the show. Live chat spam, yeah. But great to have all three of you back together on the show, although happy to hear Ashley's career is going so well. Yeah, guys, look, I've been telling you guys for a long time that don't expect Ashley to be on this show for a long time because she's just really successful. And it's awesome to see how successful she is. But she's not going to have time to be doing the John Campea Show much longer, I don't think. So just let's enjoy her while she's here. But it's so great seeing her career take off. Let's see. J Meister 25 writes, 18%. Who didn't see this coming? Well, even I heard it was going to be quite bad, but I still thought it might be 30 or something like that. Again, we can have all these predictions all we want, but until we see the movie, I choose to stay optimistic. And until I see it, I'm going to keep hope alive. Nehemiah Brumfield writes, Man of Steel made more than Iron Man 1. Thor, Batman Begins, Captain America 1, Shazam didn't need 700 million. Sequels should be made now. Bring on the filthy. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do a Man of Steel sequel, so we can just put that away. You guys know Man of Steel is one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. I think it is the most underrated comic book movie of all time. The problem wasn't box office with it, though, Nehemiah. The problem was so many people didn't like it. That was the problem. It did respectable. Box office-wise, it did respectable. Man of Steel. Certainly good enough that you could justify a sequel. Absolutely. The problem was so many people disliked the movie, which is why I say it's the most underrated comic book movie of all time. So I do not believe you're going to see DC do a Man of Steel sequel. I don't think you're going to see Henry Cavill as Superman again. Hopefully I'm wrong about that because I love Henry Cavill as Superman, but we'll have to wait and see. Lamar, big jump. Okay, here we are. Lamar McLeod writes, standalone Superman period piece in the 1930s. Oh man, that would be amazing. Again, that all kind of depends on how the Joker does. If Warner Brothers can see that these Elseworld kind of things can work, I think sky's the limit. QS Hicks writes, oh my gosh, we're already over 2 hours. Okay. QS Hicks writes, DC characters, no arcs. Not one Justice League member had an arc. One thing MCU has is character arcs, not only in a solo film, but across films. Superman definitely had an arc. Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can watch Batman versus Superman and go into Justice League and not see that Superman had a very significant arc. He very clearly did. Batman did as well. Wonder Woman, they also set up a bit of an arc for her. I got to disagree with you on that. I just think that the MCU had many more films to do it with, and it just became more pronounced. Yeah, Flash didn't really have an arc. Cyborg didn't really have an arc, but you can't deny that Superman did. You can't deny that Batman did. I think they really did in those ones. So I'm going to disagree with you on that one a little bit, QS. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that. Certainly the MCU ones is more pronounced because they had many more films to do with, but I think the DCEU was heading in that direction too. Eric Huffman writes, glad you agree with me about Booksmart, John. Dude, I love this movie. I'm so surprised that I liked it as much as I did. It's it's so delightful. It's so delightful. David Lillian writes, Ezekiel 25:17, my absolute favorite movie ever. I don't know what that is, David. I don't know what that is. JB Bonificio writes, I would love Olivia Wilde to direct an MCU film. Well, I mean, let's cool our jets. Let's cool our jets, because what happens is a director comes out, makes one great movie, and then everybody's suddenly like, let them make an MCU movie, or let them make a Star Wars movie. Let's cool our jets. Let's let her just do things at her own pace. She's directed one film, a small budget, indie kind of film, and she did great. I cannot wait to see what she does next. But let's cool our jets a little bit on the whole MCU thing right now. Let's let her go at her own pace right now. Film Fan Rant writes, saw Booksmart, love it, but on Netflix, not the theater. What? I believe it's one of the reasons why the movie flopping. I do movie reviews for my family. Booksmart's on Netflix? Can't be. Booksmart is on Netflix? I'll have to look into that later. That's ridiculous if it is. That's completely stupid if it is. Michael Jones. Thank you. Michael Jones sends in a really generous super chat. Thank you so much, Michael. A friend of mine sent me a poll question. Who would win, Annabelle or Chucky? My answer, Talking Tina would whoop them both. I'm Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you. I'll tell you what, Talking Tina is the most freaky out of those three. Annabelle, when Annabelle's done right, like they did in Annabelle 2, the first Annabelle was bad, but like when they do Annabelle right, like in Annabelle 2, and Chucky in the first Child's Play, they're creepy. Nothing has creeped me out as much as Talking Tina from that original, because I watched the reruns as a kid, that original Twilight Zone episode. I'm Talking Tina, and you better be nice to me. Oh my, I kid you not, I'm getting chills. I'm getting goosebumps on my arm just thinking about that damn scene. I'm Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you. You've given me nightmares, Michael. Now I'm going to have nightmares all day. Like, seriously, I don't know if you can tell, but look at the hair on my arms and the bumps on my arm. I'm getting freaked out just thinking about that damn scene. Oh my God. And you're right, Talking Tina, whoop them both. Nerds of Porn writes, should they bring Jeremy Irons back as Alfred? That kind of came up earlier. I don't think they will. I'd totally be for it, though. Again, there's precedent. They've done that. They've had the same Alfred with changing Batman before. If it's a reboot, however, some people think this is kind of like a soft reboot. If it's a soft reboot, maybe you can't. But I don't think they will. But I sure hope they do, because I'd be down for that. Joe C.C. Diaz writes, Ashley looks like Katie Cassidy, a.k.a. Black Canary. She does have a little bit. I also, we were talking about this the other day, I see a bit of Piper Perabo in her. Do you remember Piper Perabo from Coyote Ugly? She kind of looks like Piper Perabo to me. But yeah, you're right. I do see a little, now that you mentioned, I see a little bit of Katie Cassidy in her. Let's see. Where are we at? David Linian writes, that was honestly the best movie debate I've seen. Oh, me and Robert talking about that. Funny thing is, we weren't even debating a movie. We were debating somebody else's opinion about a movie, but it was fun. Like, some people think that Rob and I agree all the time. We don't. We disagree quite often. And Rob and I have so much fun when we get, whether we're driving in a car to lunch, we love having good movie debates with each other. We love it. Like, some people don't know how to have a movie debate and stay civil. Me and Rob, because I respect Rob so much, he respects me. I love having these arguments and these debates with him. They're such a lot of fun. And he's told me he learns a lot from me when we're talking. I know I learn a lot from him from it. It's always good fun. But it's funny, we weren't even debating a movie. We were debating somebody else's opinion about a movie, which is kind of funny. Anyway, Nerd Guy writes, Oscar Guy clearly meant all comic book movies. That's BS. I call bullshit on that. That's you putting words in his mouth. It is. He specifically said Avengers. He did not say all comic book movies. You just made up an interpretation and then put those words in his mouth. You can't do that. Because I'll tell you what, I have been the victim of that a lot. Where I've said something very specifically and clearly before, and then other people online will put words in my mouth and say, well, Campea is saying this. It's like, I never fucking said that. That's not what I said. I said this. Well, you meant that. No, I did fucking not. If I meant that, that's what I would have said. But it's not what I said, is it? Well, it's what you meant. It drives me fucking crazy. It drives me crazy when people do that. Guys, do not put words in other people's mouths. Do not put words in, because I have people do it to me all the time, and it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. Now, you can think maybe he meant that, but did he say that? No, he said something else. So unless he says something else, don't put words in other people's mouths. I think that's again, I'm sensitive to that because I have people do it to me all the time, and it drives me crazy. So I'm a little bit sensitive to that. I admit, no, you're sensitive? I couldn't tell. Yeah, I'm a little bit sensitive to that. But yeah, it's not a good habit. And it's not a good practice or principle to try to debate an issue while making up things that aren't actually on the table. This guy says he hates all comic book films. That's actually not what he said. I hate what he said, but in his defense, that's not what he said. So if you're going to debate something or any discussion on something, limit the debate and discussion to what the other person is actually saying. Let's not put words in other people's mouths because, again, I've been the victim of that a lot. Almost every day, and it drives me crazy. Anyway, Krieger119 writes, if every movie is a cash grab, then he shouldn't vote on any movie according to his own opinion. Absolutely. Sorry, John, but I totally disagree with you on this. That's exactly what I said, Krieger. Evil Broomstick writes, it's a prejudice. John is wrong on this one. Nope, I'm not wrong. I'm 100% right. I'm 100% right. Sorry. I'm 100% right. Look, what did the guy say? He said that, blah, blah, blah. Now, what I agree with, and what Rob and I both said, was that, look, he did not say he was talking about the entire comic book genre, period. He said he's talking about Avengers movie. But as I said, even if you are just talking about Avengers movies, you're predetermining not liking something even before you see it. That's the thing I have a problem with. Now, he didn't say that about all comic book movies, but he did say that about Avengers movies. Whenever you say you're predetermining whether you're going to like something, give something a shot, or give something the benefit of the doubt before you ever even see it, that is toxic fandom. And we see movie fans do it all. My viewers do it all the time. I'm not going to watch Robert Pattinson in Batman. That's exactly what this guy just did. And I agree, that's a problem. I disagree that his prejudice is about all comic book movies because he never said that. He said it was about Avengers movies, but even then limited to that is a prejudice, and he's got to check that. He's totally got to check that. Let's see. Cool Some XD says Rob is right. He's prejudicing any future Avengers movies. Oh, I agree with that. It's just he wasn't prejudicing all future comic book movies. PJ Barnes writes, for all we know, that Academy member could be a huge Logan fan. Never said all comic book movies. Some may never vote for a Mel Gibson film. Completely right, PJ. That's exactly what I was saying. You should never prejudge or decide you're going to like or not like something before it ever comes out or before you ever see it. And for him to say, I'm never going to vote for an Avengers film. So it's like, wait a minute, time out. Okay, let's say you've hated all the Avengers movies so far. That's fair. Nothing wrong with that. You hate all the Avengers movies so far? Fine. You're entitled to that opinion. If that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But What if the next Avengers movie comes out and it checks all your boxes? What if the next Avengers movie comes out and it does everything that you think a perfect movie should do? Are you saying right now that even if it does that, you'll never vote for it? Because that's some first-class BS. That's some first-class BS. And I completely agree with that. And you're right. It's like some people say, I'll never vote for Mel Gibson. Well, what if his next movie is the best movie of the year? Doesn't matter. I won't vote for it. Well, then that's a problem. Let's see. Vino Sidus writes, all hail Rob. Rob saw through all that comments crap. Again, if you want to make up things and put words in people's mouths that they never said, you can make up anything you want. Now, I understand because he's talking against an Avengers movie. That's not a popular thing to say, and you're risking the wrath of the mob. But you've got to be more intelligent than that. You got to think, I don't care what the mob is going to think or say. Did he say he hates all comic book movies? No. Then let's not attack him as if that's what he said. If we're going to go after him, let's go after him for what he did say. Prejudice against Avengers movies. Saying that the movie's just a cash grab when all movies are cash grabs. Let's go after him for what he did say. Let's not go after him for what he didn't say and that we're just making up in our own heads that he said. Rusky9110 sends in a really large super chat. Thank you for that, Rusky. He writes, it's completely possible that the director is talking solely about the 4 Avengers films, but it's possible he's using Avengers as a shorthand for comic book movies, the same way Nintendo was used as shorthand for all consoles. Absolutely. It's possible. However, don't go after somebody for what you're interpreting them saying. If you're going to go after somebody in a debate, go after them in a debate for what they do say, for what they did actually say. So let's not go after this guy for hating all comic book movies. He never said that, so you're making up a fake argument. But let us go after and examine and put under a microscope and go after saying that Avengers movies are just cash grabs. All movies are cash grabs. I'll never vote for an Avengers movie. So even if it's fantastic, according to your standards, you're not going to vote for it. Let's go after, in debate, go after what people say, not for what you're making up and putting words in their mouth. That's all I'm saying. Let's go after them for what they actually said. And in this case, for me, it's that stupid cash grab comment, and it's saying he'd never vote for an Avengers film, despite the fact if an Avengers film was great or not. Okay. Mass Effect Fan 101 writes, what is your favorite war film? Mine is Glory. Glory is wonderful. Oh gosh, you're a lot of good. You know, lately I've really been on a bit of a Saving Private Ryan kick. Might be Saving Private Ryan. I might give a different answer a different time, but Saving Private Ryan is amazing. So but Glory is fantastic. Vincent Vasquez Spoonsler writes, do you like Barry season 2 and you need to see Deadly Class? I think I just read today that Deadly Class got canceled. Anyway, I'm up to episode 3 of Barry season 2. I got to tell you, I'm not liking it as much as I did season 1 because I love Barry season 1. But everybody tells me it really starts to pick up after episode 3, so I'm going to hang in there. Don Beto just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Don. Fanjecture writes, past box office evidences point towards Once Upon underperforming. The last 3 openings in order for Quentin Tarantino is 38, 30, and 16. Wrong direction. 45 million max. Well, I mean, it might be. And the projections right now, Fanjecture, of course, Fanjecture is one of our sponsors here on the John Campea Show, and we want to thank them for being sponsors. Even if it's 45, and that's the range, they're saying $40 to $60 million is the range. So even if it does come in at 45, it still represents the biggest opening ever for a Quentin Tarantino film. If it does open at 40. And you're right, Django opened at 38. Inglourious Bastards opened at 38, Django opened at 30, and then The Hateful Eight opened at 16. It's probably my least favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I actually don't like Hateful Eight very much. But yeah, that is the direction it's going. But 45 would be in the range, and it still would be his biggest opening weekend ever. Let's see what happens with that. Don Beto writes, better experience, Booksmart or Edge of 17? Oh, these are 2 movies I love, Don. I love both of these movies. I'm going to lean towards Booksmart. I'm going to lean that towards Booksmart. And if you know how much I love Edge of 17, Woody Harrelson is so good in that. But if you know how much I like Edge of 17, you know that's saying something. I'm going to give the Edge of Booksmart myself, but that's just my opinion. Again, guys, I love this movie. It doesn't mean you're going to love it, but I hope you do because I just had a fantastic experience with it. All right, Phi Nguyen writes, So far, I feel the tone of Chernobyl is a little over-dramatized. I was expecting a more realistic tone, more in line with Greengrass's United 3. I gotta 100% disagree with you, Fi. I thought this felt completely grounded. You know, Rob uses the phrase verisimilitude. I felt, if anything, it felt a little understated. I didn't think it was over-dramatized at all. You're talking about a nuclear catastrophe. But hey man, you saw it and that's the way you experienced it, and that's fair enough. Your opinion is no less or no more valid than mine. So that's cool, but I got to disagree with you on that, man. I thought it was much better than United 93. That's just my opinion though. Mason Cackham writes, I don't know why, but after I saw Endgame for the 4th time yesterday, I just noticed that the dusted characters were missing from the opening logo. I really appreciate the small details like that. I'll be straight up with you, Mason. I don't know what it is you're saying. They were missing from the opening logo? What opening logo? Avengers Endgame? Well, nobody's in that. Sorry, man. I feel bad. You took the time, you sent in a question, and I don't know what it is we're talking about. So I apologize about that. If you guys know what Mason's talking about, jump down in the comment section below and leave him your thoughts. Let him know what you think about that. Modster07 writes, do actors get paid to promote on talk shows? No. I believe they do not. I could be wrong about that, but I believe they do not. And nor should they. You're being given free promotion for your movies. Again, I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong. Christopher James writes, John, please wish my baby girl a happy birthday today. She turns 4 years old. Her name is Adira. My kids call you Uncle John. That's amazing. All right. I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of the name on this, Christopher. So really, I'm sorry about that. But Adira, happy birthday, Adira. I hope you have a great, fun birthday today. So from Uncle John to you, happy birthday. Have a great one. Oh, I really hope I pronounced the name right. Thanks for sending that in, Christopher. That's beautiful, man. All right. Lone Wolf X6 writes, John, have you seen Good Omens yet? It's good. Not yet. It's on my list. I had to get through Chernobyl. Now I got to see the Ava DuVernay one, and then I'll get on to Good Omens. But I'm hearing great things. Ray Ora, my brother-in-law, who of course does all the graphics for the show, who makes the best spam fried rice? I gotta say, honestly, my brother-in-law Ray makes some of the best damn fried rice. Every once in a while he'll come over and he'll make up just a big load of it and put in this giant container and put it in the fridge, and I'll just like devour it. It's so good. So I got to give that to Ray. Makes the best fried rice I've ever had. He really does. Anthony Luciulano writes, John, do you like Spam? Not really, but like there are some things I don't like that if you prepare it a certain way, like Ray does, then yeah, then I can. Let's see. Where are we at? Jeffrey, and by the way, guys, I'm just going to say that we're well over 2 hours now. If you have not sent in a question by now, please, no more questions. I'm just going to fly through the last few ones here because I want to make sure they get answered before we end the show. Jeffrey Niffen writes, Inside Out trailer looked like a ripoff of Herman's Head. It kind of did, but when I saw the movie, though, it was brilliant, especially Richard Kind. That movie's so freaking good. Now, I saw a preview for it at CinemaCon the year before Inside Out came out, and the preview was awesome, but the trailers didn't look all that good. The trailers didn't look all that great, but Inside Out was fabulous. You're absolutely right about that. Lone Wolf X6 writes, cue the X-Men 90s cartoon song. Oh, that song will forever be in my head. 20 Jackson Schaefer writes, John, I was just joking about the Rocketman petition. Oh, I know. That was hilarious. I was thinking it's only a matter of time before we get, that one. That's right. Before we get biopic character petitions. Sorry for the confusion. Keep up the great work. No problem. Yeah, because you wrote earlier, not my Elton. I thought you were being serious for a second. Maybe I shouldn't have thought you were being serious, but thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, I like that movie so much. I admit, when they announced that Taron Egerton, who I like very much, if you haven't seen him in Eddie the Eagle, you should. He's great in that. When I first heard that Taron Egerton was going to be playing Elton John, I got to admit, I was like, really? I don't see it. But now, oh my God, he's so good in it. He's so good in it. It's crazy. Lone Wolf X6 writes, Barry finds the Batman symbol. You still think he's a myth. Oliver, yeah. I'm the original vigilante Barry. I think that was from the crossover event. Was that the crossover event last year that was from? Or was that something new? I can't remember. But it was from the crossover event. I can't remember now. It's been a while. I liked it. I didn't like it that much, though. Zuza U writes, motto for the internet. I'm responsible for what I say, but not for what you understand. Oh, my God. That's a great one. That makes a lot of sense. I'm responsible for what I say, but not for what you understand. That's actually top marks. That's a really good saying, actually. Maybe a lot of people should adopt that. That's a good one, man. All right, last two questions, then we're going to wrap it up today. Sujith writes, my favorite action movie of the decade is Mad Max Fury Road. Really good one. The decade is almost over. You can wait for Terminator before you tell us yours. You know what? It's hard. John Wick 3's got to be in the running. But I have to sit down and think, what were the action films of this decade? So give me some time to think about that, Susan. Maybe we'll revisit that another time. All right. Final one is, John, we both agree about Oscar guy. I misunderstood. Well, I mean, hey, look, seriously, look, when you read that comment that the guy made, you'd be forgiven if you think initially he's talking about all Oscar movies. And you know what? Maybe he was, but he didn't say that. So I'm only going to go after him for what he said. I'm not going to go after him for something he didn't say. I'm going to go after him for what he actually said, not for what I decide he meant, and then I'm going to treat him as if that's what he said when it's not. So you just got to be a little bit careful about that. That's all I'm saying. But it's a great debate to have. And guys, this has been a fun show today. I mean, actually, Rob and I, during the movie news feed, when Fact Checker Jonathan's movie news feed was playing, Rob and I were like, oh my God, that's so much. We were talking about the debate on. We were both like geeking out about how much fun that debate was. And I'm sure we'll have more debates like that in future. And guys, thank you so much for being a part of today's show and being a part of the film fan community. We appreciate it so much. And it's always fun to have these discussions with you guys. It's even more fun when we disagree. That's when it's more fun, is when we disagree on issues. And I cannot wait for more issues to come up tomorrow. Guys, don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. Make sure you come back and join us for that. Both Ashley and Robert will be back to join us, unless Ashley gets another big acting gig that she gets to do. Isn't it awesome that she's having so much success? I think that's great. Anyway, that'll do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.